Welcome one and all to the Wairoa stage. It is Saturday afternoon. We are just over halfway through the 2024 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. And as you can see, fans are turning up to see what is a super special stage, a short blast through the Adelaide Hills between two connecting villages. Aldgate is where they start and Stirling is where they finish. You can see we are right in the heart of the Adelaide Hills, not too far away actually from Mount Lofty, which is the highest point here in South Australia. I'm Dan McCarthy. I'll be talking you through much of the action, but it's not just me here today. Down at the start grid, I have a former competitor, Nick Lenthal. Nick, can you hear me down there?
I can, Dan, and I'm actually down here with our course opener for the event, Mark Lacey. He has been on the road all day yesterday and all day this morning. Mark, tell me how does this compare with actually giving it a punt in the event?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's good to be a part of the rally still. We're having a ball still, so it's still really good fun.
Good on you, mate. We've been thanking the volunteers all weekend, 350 of them. I think it's the most we've ever had. So on behalf of all the drivers and the co-drivers and all the punters who are watching the event, thank you very much.
No worries. Cheers. Have a good day.
Thank you very much to Nick and to Mark Lacey. Great to see that he's involved in some capacity, and great to have his knowledge and experience here on this Wairoa stage. As I say, it's a short little blast between the two connecting villages. Me and Nick had a run through the event just over a week ago, so this is the little run through Wairoa. So Nick, this is the Wairoa stage. It connects two small little towns in the Adelaide Hills.
Connects Aldgate to Stirling, just shy of a kilometre run, named after the Wairoa mansion behind the pine trees. And just heading over this little brow, little jump here, and then up to where the spectators will line the road.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, as you say, a short little stage. It's relatively new to the Adelaide Rally. This will be the fourth running of this particular stage. Spectator stage. The spectators can get right up close to the action.
They can, and they're well protected by the water barriers that they're just setting up alongside the road here that you can see, and they're about 20 metres back from those in complete safety. But it's a compact little stage that brings the cars up close and personal to the spectators. And they get to see a series of corners with the cars in full flight. And it's Adelaide Hills in spring. Beautiful time to be here.
Certainly is, and it's only really a hop, skip and a jump from the centre of Adelaide. It's only 20 minutes up the freeway and you're here, and it's a really good stage.
It is, Dan, and we've done a very quick time. We are just about to cross the flying finish now.
There it is then, the Wairoa stage from Aldgate to Stirling, the super special. This stage first debuted in the Shannon's Adelaide Rally in 2021, and it was such a success it's returned every year since, and it goes from strength to strength. You can see the crowd up alongside the ridge there, so there's a bit of a rise between the road and where they are, and they are also behind the water barriers and a few metres back as well. It's a great vantage point along this stage. It certainly is, but we're not too far away from the first cars to come through. They started the day at Hermitage, northeast of Adelaide, and they have made their way southeast of Adelaide, and there's a couple more stages to go after this one. There goes Lacey through the stage. He certainly knows how to pedal a car, and the Ford Laser, the official's vehicle of choice here today. Look at the brilliant drone footage we can see as they flick it through the left-hander back through to the right as well, and blast up the hill. There's a few tricky corners. There's another chicane there as well, and the stage ends just around that corner, not too far further down there. So we have a large majority of this stage covered, but here's a little reason why people come to this stage. Here's a little promo video about the Wairoa stage.
Named after a historic mansion adjacent to the stage, Wairoa is a dedicated spectator stage that sees hundreds of people congregate to watch the field traverse this stage. If you want to see cars up close at speed, this is the stage to watch. Access for spectators is either from the Stirling or Aldgate ends of the stage. Check the spectator guide for more information closer to the event.
Dan, I'm down here on the start line with one of our favourite punters, a long-time campaigner in the Adelaide Rally, Jai Raymond, and his mum, Jen Mathwin Raymond, is just to our right, but she didn't want to be on camera today. Jai, we were watching you yesterday, and more importantly, we were listening to that fantastic dry sump Rover V8. Suddenly you disappeared. Tell us what happened.
Well, we were going halfway through the gorge road and it dropped all the oil pressure, and we know better now, and we know when to sort of back off and take it easy. We sort of nursed it to the end. Luckily I live at the end of Summit Road, pulled it into my driveway, rang mechanics, and they said, look, if you've got low oil pressure, best thing to do is park it.
So it's good to hear that you didn't actually reach that catastrophic stage where it goes bang and
We've been there before.
When all the oil drops out, you know it's not ended well. So from us, we're all happy that you turned it off before the catastrophe began. How were you going up until that point? Were you enjoying the roads?
Oh, the roads are magnificent. You know, I'm a local here, and so I love the roads, and I think the people like to see the car out because it's loud and it's fast, and we're doing really well in our category. I think we're sitting 5th outright in challenge, so that was pretty good. I was really looking forward to some of my favourite roads today, which were Chain of Ponds, and also tomorrow Mount Lofty, of course, because I live on the road.
Fantastic news. And Jai, I've got some news for you. While we were doing our live stream this morning, we had a few people watching, and guys like Henry Knott and Lincoln Till said, we're coming back. So good news for all of us punters.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. We want to see more people in the field, and we want to see more people enjoying these brilliant roads.
Thanks, Jai, and back to you, Dan.
Thanks very much, Nick. Yeah, real shame that Jai and Jen both not out there in their Rover, because it is a really nice piece of kit. They're in the challenge category, but we're commencing proceedings with the tours as we always do, and we begin today with the Mercedes Tour, a very, very familiar brand to many. Of course, so much motorsport history, and such a popular car brand as well. So as the tours head up the hill, we'll give you a bit of information about some of the cars that you are seeing. But yes, there's plenty of manufacturer tours to come in the next half an hour, 45 minutes or so. These guys limited to 100 kilometres an hour on these stages, but it's very, very hard to get to 100 kilometres an hour. The way the Adelaide Rally course has been designed by Tim Possingham and Jake Olker and several other members of the Adelaide Rally team, they're very tight technical roads, as you can see here, where you very rarely touch 100 kilometres an hour. And you'll see, if you watch some of the other stages as well, they're technical hairpins, 90-degree corners. They've chosen the roads well, and 81% of the roads either have a barrier alongside them or a steep embankment, so you can't go off the edge. There's a cliff face or something against the side of the road, so you hit one of those obstacles before something else. It's a very good mark of the Adelaide Rally. As you can see, there's a barrier on one side, and where there isn't, they put water barriers in on the other side of the road, as demonstrated right there through the next of the added in chicanes. As I say, this a great addition to the Adelaide Rally in 2021. A super special stage, and this has been so popular. It really was the birth of what we saw debut last year, the Strathalbyn Town stage, a little bit further south still from where we are here. That was a huge event last year on the Sunday, the Strathalbyn Town stage, and as a result of that, we're running it not once but twice in tomorrow's action. So tune into the live stream to see the Strathalbyn stage, 2 runs through of that one, and there'll also be Craig Lowndes there as well, judging a show and shine competition, judged by current Port Adelaide player Dixon, and Craig and his wife Lara Lowndes will both be there judging as well. So pretty cool to have that as an addition to an already great stage, and I'm sure there'll be thousands flocking to that stage once again, as we can see them flick through the chicane. The reason for this chicane is that the next strip of road, just as we cut to the next camera, there's a jump just there to the left of the camera. You might see a few of them enter this shot with air later on, and that's the reason for that temporary chicane added straight away as they go underneath the train line, under the bridge, and yeah, that is the reason for it. But then it really opens up around this section here, in front of all the fans on the hill. That's a tighter 90-degree right-handed than I thought, and I've even been on the stage, but that drone camera really did show that. I've done this drive several times myself. I only live 10 or 15 minutes away. Nick lives quite literally a stone's throw away. He couldn't be any closer. If it was a morning stage, I'm sure he'd have walked here, frankly. It couldn't be any closer. The other side, though, he's the Stirling side. The end of the stage is where Nick is located, but very much a local, and was lucky enough to drive this stage back in 2021, the first iteration, and it really was quite something that first year it ran. So the next tour through will be the Solitaire Automotive Tour. So there's plenty.
Dan, can I just interrupt you there? I am down on the start line here with Martin, who is a local resident, and he comes to watch the rally every year. What is it that you like so much about this rally, Martin?
I really like cars. I enjoy watching them. Yeah, there's some amazing cars to see, and it's a really great thing for the Adelaide Hills. Thank you to the organisers and putting on the event through the Hills. We love it every year, and I think the whole group of towns through Stirling and Aldgate and Wairoa, everyone gets behind it, and across the state. So, yeah, thank you for putting it on.
Well, also thank you very much to the residents of the Adelaide Hills, which includes me and Martin, who allow us to use their roads and put up with a few road closures. But as Martin said, we all love it. Now, we just had pizza at the new pizza bar in Stirling, which is called Pimento, and they said they're run off their feet. They don't want any more customers if the rally's been so good for them. So tell us, what's the cars that you look forward to the most? Is it the competition or is it the exotic sports cars?
I have to say I'm a sucker for exotic sports cars. Free plug to Prancing Horse, who have had the pleasure of driving many of those supercars that Prancing Horse run, and I love them, the performance, the sound, really. I don't think there's a place for electric cars in this rally anyway. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. Dan, it's getting a bit noisy down here, so we'll cross back to you.
Yes, that's because the Solitaire Automotive Tour is heading up the hill. They have a large variety of vehicles as part of their showroom. So these are some of the buyers that have purchased vehicles from there over the last several years. So this category includes Aston Martins, Audis, Alfa Romeos, Jaguars, and even a couple of Cupras as well. And through goes the old V8 Vantage. Oh, that sounds absolutely glorious as it just goes past me. That's exactly where I'm located. Just where the jump is, actually, is where I am located. So through goes the Jaguar as well. But a symphony of noise roaring up the hill. A few of the big Jaguar SUVs heading up there. So there's a couple of F-Paces. There's an F-Type as well, a red F-Type. Oh, there it is, on cue. I obviously knew it was coming up next. But there we go, cutting straight to... Oh, he clips the bollard. Oh, dear, the first one of the day to clip the bollard through that temporary chicane, opening it up for a few of the competitors behind. But the F-Type, continues up the hill ahead of the Audi RS6. That looks absolutely glorious with the roof down. He's one of the brave ones this morning. Me and Nick were at the first stage at Hermitage, just north-east of the city. And he was the first person, was Matthew Lynette, to drop the roof. Goodness gracious me, would it be cold today. or it was this morning anyway. It's not too bad now. It's warmed up a nice spring day. Clouds have come overhead, but it's still a glorious Adelaide spring day. Particularly yesterday afternoon was lovely, and I expect much the same today. I can see a few residents pointing into the trees, and I've just noticed why. There's a koala just where the jump is. He's got a fantastic view of the action, a stunning view of the action. Never have I seen a koala from my commentary box before. That's an absolute first for me. And I've commentated many circuit racing. Don't do too many commentary, too many rallies. So for me to be in and amongst the wildlife, we had some alpacas earlier on, some dogs, but a koala, a first for me. And I can't think of many commentators that have had that around the world. That is for certain. That is quite something. A koala overhanging the circuit, just where the jump is, as I say. Perfect view of all of the action for him. Solitaire tour. There should still be a couple more, I believe, from that particular tour. Nick, I believe you're down there. Oh, I think there's a couple of audio issues there, Nick. Sorry about that. We'll come back to you in just a moment. But we look at the surroundings. There is the town of Aldgate. And as I say, Stirling is just a stone's throw away. This stage, one of the shortest, second shortest in the rally, 830 metres in length. Strathalbyn slightly shorter again. But as we say, this is like they have in WRC. It's a super special stage, taking it down to the punters. Nick, I believe you're down there again.
We're going to have another try at this, Dan. I'm gone from the locals to the tourists, and I'm down here with Darren, who has come all the way from Wairoa to watch this rally. Tell us what brought you to Aldgate today.
I just love seeing the cars and seeing them on the road and see what they could do.
Did you know that this was going to be on today when you planned trip to Adelaide?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, wouldn't miss it.
So this was your reason for the trip?
Yes, definitely. And also to see my partner, who also lives in the hills.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Any particular cars that you're waiting to see?
Mainly the Porsche, but really anything that really looks good. Love all the pretty much everything. Lamborghinis, Ferraris, everything.
Well, we've got stacks of Porsches for you today. We've got a group from the Porsche Adelaide dealership, and we've got another group from the Porsche Club. So there must be something there that takes your fancy.
Oh. Like I said, yep, love all the Porsches, but even the 911s is definitely the one to see, I reckon.
That's probably a pretty unanimous decision, Dan. Thank you so much, Darren, for your time.
Thanks very much, Nick. Yeah, it's great to see so many, not only locals, but city people from outside of the city. I'll get it out in a minute. Don't worry about it. But yes, no, I was going to say intercityers, but that's not a word. So yeah, but there's interstaters as well. Even a couple of internationals are competing in the event this year, as we see the next wave of cars to come through. This is still the Solitaire Tour. This is the second half now with the Alfa Romeos and the Cupras and a couple more Jaguars as well. We just saw Tour Leader 2 in his Audi RS6. That is Garnett Patterson, a familiar name to quite a few people, a very good GT driver, a very, very capable driver in GT3 machinery. So let's see what he can do. He won't hold back as he roars towards the first chicane. He'll flick it right, flick it left. He is absolutely enjoying himself as he goes over the jump. I heard him lift there. There's quite a lift. Didn't want to take that at full throttle. And following him there on the screen, the Alfa Romeo 4C with Mark Corden right behind the wheel. It's a cut back to the lovely estate Audi RS6, a glorious piece of machinery. So this showcasing all of the very best that Alfa Romeo, Cupra, Jaguar, every manufacturer within the Solitaire automotive brand have to offer, as the ABS lights there flashing away in the bright green Alfa Romeo driven by Darren Coates. That was a Giulietta Quadrifoglio. I'm sorry with my Italian. Quadrifoglio. There we go. Got it better a second time through. But yeah, it's quite a diverse range of vehicles. Bright lime green Audi SUV going up the hill there. Swings it around the tight right-hander. As I say, it's tighter than I thought that one, and then back around to the left. And then here, there's the temporary chicane. You can just see where the sign is. There's that temporary chicane added in, similar to this one, which has already been knocked by one of the competitors in the previous tour. They roar towards it. That bridge you can see over, that's a railway line used for freight, not for passengers. But yeah, that had a freight train just moments before this stage started. And I'm sure there could potentially be another one before the end as well, as we see the next load of Audis head through. And that concludes the Solitaire Tour. So that was Karl-Heinz Zirkel. So up next we have the Zagami Tour. So here's a little bit of information about the Zagami Tour. The Zagami Tour has been part of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally for a number of years and includes a large variety of both modern sports cars and supercars. Zagami brands include Aston Martin, Ferrari, McLaren, Lotus and even Pagani. There it is, the first car going up the hill. Zagami Automotive, as I said in the package, home to all luxury supercar brands. There's a Ferrari 458 going up the hill. Look at our cameramen, they're struggling to even keep up. There's a familiar name, Jean-Paul Drake in his Lexus LFA heading up the hill. He races in the Australian Prototype Series usually, the reigning champion in that series, but he showed off his Lexus LFA earlier on in the year at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival. Enjoyed that so much he thought, I'll get the old girl back out again for the Adelaide Rally. There we go, over the jump goes the Lamborghini. So we've got V10s, we've got V8s, we've got V6s, flat 6s, even a couple of V12s in there as well. It's a huge array of vehicles in the Zagami Tour, and it's such a popular one as well. Nearly 60 entrants in the Zagami Tour this year. A really good turnout as always, and great to have them back a part of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. A great welcome to the event every year, so great to have them all head up the hill. Listen to that V10 as it pops away around the long right-hander and back to the kink left and back around through to the right. That's only a subtle kink as well, then hard on the brakes for that chicane. Got another Lamborghini next. I'll let you listen to this. Next one to clobber the bollard at the first chicane. I'm sure we'll be seeing a bit more of that to come. That's Matthew Sims in his Lamborghini Superleggera, a great Lamborghini. Oh, the bollard's been well and truly knocked over now. That's almost a straight run through there almost now. That has been well and truly knocked over. Here comes the latest Lambo. Oh, and it's been hit again. Dear oh dearie me, that bollard's taking an absolute punishing early on already in this stage. You're only on tour group number 3. We've still got many to come through. Letting you listen into the sounds once again as we go to the Ford Falcon So really do have everything in this tour. The Ford Falcon driven by Lionel Skinner. Although according to this, he was meant to be driving in a Porsche, so maybe a late change for him. Because that most certainly was not a Porsche heading up the hill. It was car number 32 though. Through goes the Mercedes, and then we've got McLaren. Of course, McLaren and Mercedes back together in Formula One, working together to achieve greatness. And haven't McLaren had a great season in Formula One? Back to their best in particularly the second half of the season. Lando Norris at one stage looked like he was just beginning to potentially mount a title challenge to Verstappen after qualifying in Brazil, but it flipped on its head, and now Verstappen has one hand on the title. But great to see McLaren doing so well. But of course, McLaren not only in Formula One, they compete in Formula E now as well, the all-electric series, and one of my favourite categories, IndyCar. Pato O'Ward, and next year I'll have a new teammate in Christian Lundgaard alongside him. That's going to be really cool. Alexander Rossi leaving the team after several years there. Going to be interesting to see what Christian Lundgaard can do at McLaren, as through comes the 488, the first of the turbocharged Ferrari top of the range models in recent years. The 458 was naturally aspirated, the 488 was a V6 turbo, and through it goes. There's a few Ferraris going through at the moment. There goes the V12 powered F12 Berlinetta. That's driven by Andrew Jordan. And here is one of my absolute favourites. That is the SF90 Spider. A very new car to the Ferrari range. Very, very new indeed. 2023, I believe that came out, so only last year. The SF90 looks absolutely gorgeous. No roof on it as well. And that's the first time I've actually seen that so far this weekend. There's some really, really nice Ferraris in this tour. There's a 296 GTB as well that's not too far away. There's a 365, the old Daytona GTB4, one of the oldest cars in the rally this year, built back in 1970 and driven by Steve Florinelli. And he's taking that nice and smooth, nice and easy. I gotta say, it might be an old Ferrari, well over 50 years old now, nearly 55 years old, but that's got to be one of the most expensive cars in the rally this year. After this, we move on to the next tour packet. So we should explain these tours. The big tours, with like Zagami, with over 60 entrants, they're split into little packets, we call them. There's a tour leader and a tour follower in every single packet, and they're groups of about 15. So we're into the next packet, but before we send them, we are fixing the bollard, and I think that's a good idea because that has been punished like a boxer. It's effectively been in a boxing ring out there. It's been whacked from pillar to post by every single car under the sun, from Lamborghinis to Mercedes, and even a couple of Solitaire products as well. So we will fix that up and then we will get back underway once again. Great work from the volunteer officials. So many of them here this year. 375 volunteer officials making this event happen. Over 30 stages this year. There's so many kilometres that are completed. I think it's well over 400 kilometres in total. In fact, there's 255 kilometres today alone. So it's a huge, huge group of volunteers that go around all the stages to make it happen. So I have to thank every single one of them as we await the Bentley to head up the hill next, the Bentley Continental, of course. Here, gained a bit of a cult following in the lead up to its Bathurst 12-hour success. Yes, a Bentley Continental GT did win the Bathurst 12-hour several years ago. Sadly no longer competes in GT3 competition. I would love to see it make a return, but here it goes off the line and towards the first chicane. Hopefully he'll give it a little bit of a berth, and he does. He is closely followed by the Ferrari. Oh, it sounds absolutely fantastic. Austin Zagami at the wheel of that particular Ferrari. Then we got a Lotus. That's the Lotus Emira. Another McLaren. Philip Levi behind the wheel of that 720S. I love the 720S. I certainly do, as we see a Corolla going up the hill there. So many Zagami Tour entrants. BMW M3 as well. A Ford GT from 2005, the second iteration of the Ford GT, relaunched after its huge success in the late 60s and early 70s, followed by an Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Oh, it sounds absolutely awesome. What's that coming through? Oh, of course, that's steam notes of a Porsche, but we continue to focus on the Ford GT. There it is, the Porsche I was just talking about, the flat 6 motor. Love the orange stripe, sort of a martini livery nod. There's a few, Golf livery nod. There's a few really nice Golf liveries in this rally. Some tribute nods. That's committed, very, very committed by Kumar Krishna in his M2. Oh, look at that lime green McLaren 720 as well, going up through the stage. Up next we have the BMW Tour. A big tour, so here's a bit of information about the BMW and Mini Tour. Mini Tour contains 24 BMWs and 8 Minis. It features mainly modern machinery, but a couple of old classics as well. There's no shortage of BMW M products, from the M2 up to the M6, and a variety of Cooper models as well. And then through the actual road curvatures. Yeah, BMW wagon leading the way. Oh, that was fully committed on the exit of the corner there. I just take in the sights and the sounds as they sweep left. Sweep back to the right. There's the big crowd that continues to flock there. There's crowds absolutely everywhere along this stage, just directly behind this camera. I can't even see the road. There's that many people queued up and around the area. Through come the next bunch of BMWs. A little M2 there. This category, as I say, ranges from the M2 all the way through to the M6, and a couple of different machines in between as well. We see an older spec BMW from about 2010. It's an M3. That's a very, very modern BMW right there. The grills, you can tell the difference in the grills. Rather vertical rather than horizontal grills. There it is, the brand new BMW heading up the hill. It's being hounded from behind. Look at the ABS lights flashing once again. Oh, that's committed through there. Very, very committed from Mark Phillip. I expect Nothing different from him. He pushes it 100% of the time. Did so earlier on today, did so at Strathalbyn last year. He might be a tall leader, he might be limited to 100 k's an hour, but he pushes the limits throughout. BMW, of course, getting back into sports car racing in recent times. Had success at Le Mans in the 90s, but they're back and really performing strongly at the moment as well. They've moved up through the V10 there. Oh, that's awesome, absolutely awesome. But yes, BMW competing just IMSA last year and then stepping up to WEC in the hypercar class this year, and they've got stronger and stronger as the year has progressed. As you see, a bunch of minis that are going to come through now. Oh, and there we go, absolutely wiped out there go the bollards. I don't remember this being such a problem for them in previous years. They are hitting them from pillar to post today, as I say. Through goes the very unique Mini from back in the day, the Broadspeed Mini in bright green, which means we don't have too many more of the BMW Minis to go. We're flying through the order at the moment. After this, we are set for some some BMWs, some Porsches. Plenty of Porsche action to come for you in the next 10 or 15 minutes time, but still the remaining BMWs and Minis head up the hill.
And Dan, if you could have been down here on the start line to hear those cars, what a feast for your ears.
What in particular took your fancy there, Nick? Was it the V8 Ferraris, some of the V10s?
The list would be too long. I don't think we have enough time. We had Lamborghini V10s, we had a string of Ferrari V8s, and they were all putting on a show for the punters. The crowd were taking it all in. It was a really good spot to be. I know it's great to be further up the stage on the corners and watching them fly through, but the sounds, Dan, and John Paul Drake in that Lexus, that has got a sound all its own, that car, and people loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. It really does have a unique sound. Nick, how much tyres are they burning through down there? Are they pretty good off the line, using a bit of launch control or a bit of wheel spin?
There's a combination of both. I think some of them had to turn the launch control off because too much technology, so they wanted to just have a little bit of fun and excite the punters, and they did. So full marks to those guys. It was honestly, I mean, I know we've all seen those cars before, but I was just standing here like a boy, loving it, just loving it like a kid.
I'm sure you were. We're just fixing the bollards up at the first chicane, Nick. Everyone's been treating those very badly, like they have the tyres off the start line. But we've got a new sponsor this year, SA Motorsport Tyres, Nick. They're the tyre supplier of choice.
They're certainly the tyre supplier for the gravel rally community, Dan. Mark Povey, who heads up the team at SA Motorsport Tyres. He's a very avid punter of his Datsun Stanza until its demise a little while back. But I think that car's about to be recreated and it'll come back. But yeah, if you're looking for anything in the way of motorsport tyres, you can go and see SA Motorsport Tyres. Mark Povey. Tell him that you saw them on the rally and that they can give you the best advice. They'll steer you in the right direction, whether it's for circuit sprints and track days or tarmac rally or gravel rally. They can help you with any of those choices.
How cool is it, Nick? There's so many people in front of me lined up along the fence line. I can't even see the road. I don't know what it's like from your end. I can see that we're panning around to it now. Thank you very much, Dylan, the cameraman, for all his work. But look at the crowd aligning the fences. This is pretty cool, isn't it, Nick? This was almost the reason for the birth of the Strathalbyn stage. This was such a success, they thought, let's do another street stage.
It is, Dan, and I mean, you know, we were down here a week ago just driving through the stage, and I think they must have been setting up about 1 kilometre of water barriers along the side of the road to protect the cars from running into the scenery, and also to protect the punters who are watching from up along the path that lines this stage. Just so that safety is paramount. It's always the number one priority, and they do such a good job of keeping the people safe, both in the cars and on the side of the road. Now, Dan, I'm talking to Jai Raymond, and I've got some exciting news for you.
Fire away.
Now, I don't think you know this, but Jai, like us, is involved in the Motorsport Festival, and his role includes running the celebrities over to the pavilion. And you and I both have been saying what a wealth of knowledge they have in the pavilion, and the guest speakers are fantastic. This year they are doubling the size of the pavilion.
I knew it was increasing it, but doubling, yeah, I heard it was a supersized Grand Marquis, but to double it, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? And it really, it was full to the brim. Every single guest star that was there earlier on this year, from Gunther Steiner to Liam Lawson to Damon Hill, even the Bateses, the Rally Dynasty with the Bateses, they were there as well. And people just could not get enough, could they? They were torn between whether they go to watch the action on the fence line or whether they go into the Grand Marquis. So it's great that the team at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival, Tim Possingham and his great team have done that, taken the initiative and grown it for next year. That's great.
And that's what it is. It's a festival. It's not a race. It doesn't have times, doesn't have winners, but it's all about celebrating motorsport, motor cars, classic cars, and the people involved in it. And like I've said to you a couple of times, I would struggle to know whether to watch the cars or to go to the pavilion, because there's so much history gets talked about, and there's such a rare opportunity to hear from those people. So it's great that they've noticed how well attended it was, and they've doubled it in size. That's terrific. I'm sure a lot of the punters will be very, very pleased about that for next year.
I'm sure they will. There's some great noises along the fence line there this year. There's some great noises down there on the start grid where you are. And there's going to be plenty of great noises again next year at the Motorsport Festival. They've already announced the 767 Mazda will return, as well as the Calsonic Nissan Le Mans car. David Brabham will be driving his Formula One car that he drove back in the era at the Adelaide Grand Prix, and he'll be reunited with that car on the Adelaide streets. That's something very much to look forward to. And they've announced in recent days as well a whole host of Can-Am cars, and even a Formula 5000 from the day will also be at the event next year. So very, very much looking forward to that. We're awaiting the next cars to come through. The next tour is Porsche Centre Adelaide. They're a new tour to this year. So here's a bit about Porsche Centre Adelaide. Adelaide is a new tour group this year and contains an incredible variety from the German brand. Everything from the brand new 911 Carrera and 911 GTS to the 718 GT4, Macan and KN GTS. Pretty cool. We're going to see a lot of Porsche power to come through in the next few minutes. The remaining tours to come are the Porsche Centre Adelaide Porsche Club, Hyundai, Honda, and then the main tour, which has a huge variety of various different machines not associated with particular brands, and then we move on to the competition categories. For those just tuning in for the first time on the Shannon's Adelaide Rally, welcome. I am Dan McCarthy, and Nick Lenthal is down there at the start line. 20 stages. This is the 20th of 30 this year, an increased amount in 2024, which is great to see. And a total of 147 competitive kilometres this year, which is really, really great to see. As a result, we've got more volunteer officials than ever before. You can see them all in the green, doing their various different roles, and we're so thankful to have every single one of them. But yeah, we are on stage 20 of 30, and things are getting pretty tight in and around the midfield of the various different classes. But Alex Rouleau remains out front in the competition category at the moment. But yeah, just awaiting the next tour to come through. This year, Leader Computers have stepped on board as well, and they are helping out at Rally HQ. There's some more volunteers down there at the Adelaide Showground, keeping an eye on everybody. That we've got trackers in every car. We know where every single vehicle is around the whole of the state. And that's a really great initiative, and Leader Computers have made that possible with the computers that they've provided to make this event possible in Rally HQ land. Nick, I believe you're down there at the start line with someone?
I am. I'm on my own actually, Dan, but I just wanted to give a bit of a shout out to a mate. Now, we've talked at length this event about the help that's provided by volunteers. What was the figure? I think it was 350 plus?
375.
375 volunteers, and without them, this event doesn't go ahead. Now, the stage commander on this stage is Nick Waldy, a keen rally fan. He has been since childhood. His dad, Martin Waldy, was a rally competitor on gravel when I rallied in my 20s. And I've just found out that Martin isn't travelling too well. He's a bit crook. And Martin, big shout out to you. Get back out here, brother. We need you. And we thank you for probably the last 15 years of Classic Adelaide Rally. I reckon he would have been stage commander on 1, 2 or 3 stages for every event. They're the volunteers we're talking about. Get well, sir, mate.
Well said, Nick. Very, very well said. And absolutely, it's almost a tradition for them, isn't it? Every year they come back here, year after year. They just love this event. You spoke to the gentleman all the way from Wairoa earlier on. He's made the trip down here just for this event. It really does bring people to the Adelaide region. Just last year, the economic footprint of this event was $7.1 million. And the new street stage brought just under $1 million to the region of Strathalbyn, and that just shows exactly 250,000. Goocher Street, sorry, in the centre of Adelaide was $1 million. Strathalbyn was 250,000, just under. So that just shows the benefit that we're bringing to these communities. So I imagine that the Aldgate and Stirling communities will be getting similar interest. As Nick said, we're in the food place earlier on today, and they were saying just how busy it was. It was their busiest day of the entire year when the rally came to town last year, and I'm sure it'll be much the same again today. So a big day for the shopkeepers of the region. But look at this, they continue to arrive at this stage, and again more people have flocked in front of me as well, and the cars continue to come towards this stage. As I say, stage 20. If you are enjoying the action and enjoying what you're seeing, there's still 2 stages to go. So if you're watching the live stream and you want to get on the side of these stages, Leewood Gardens is up next, and followed by Windy Point, the spectator-friendly stage at Windy Point. So if you can't make it here, maybe you're close to Belair, somewhere in Blackwood or somewhere around there, you can quickly make it to Windy Point, because cars will be there very, very shortly. And that is an iconic stage. I think that was the first stage I went to as a youngster. That was in the Classic Adelaide days at Windy Point. That was really, really cool. And I've been to a couple of stages as a punter since, and then done the last 3 in the box here. And great to have Nick Lenthal, former competitor in the rally, down there on the start line. A bit strange not having him in the van next to me, as he has been for the rest of the weekend so far, but we've let him loose into his natural habitat down there at the start of the stage. There's plenty to see and do in this area of Adelaide. There certainly is. As I say, Mount Lofty is just up the hill. We're very, very close to Mount Lofty. That stage will be contested tomorrow. It's one of the very, very favourites. There's even a prize on the line for that stage alone. You get there's a one-off prize for that particular stage. It starts off proceedings tomorrow at 9:27. So make sure you get there if you enjoy your rally action and you're busy at home, working in the office or something, make sure you get there tomorrow. Mylor tomorrow as well, a real classic stage in a real country town. Following that, Strathalbyn Town Stage number 1. Macclesfield 1, the run just out of Strathalbyn. That's been extended this year. It's now 7.4 kilometres in length. Then they run Strathalbyn again, Macclesfield, Warrawong, and end with Sturt Valley. Nick, you're down there, I believe.
Back with more volunteers, Dan, as is my wont. I'm down here with Lee and Dean and Debbie. I'm the thorn between the roses, obviously, from our fire marshals, more volunteers. And I think they're pleased to report that they haven't had a whole lot to do. Is that right?
Best way to be. Our MIV's been quiet for the last 2 days, so it's good.
And you can see they're not actually disappointed about... In fact, they're hoping to be made redundant. Debbie, what brings you out here doing things like this on a weekend?
Keeping in touch with my family. My husband's working, so I might as well be here and work with him.
Yeah. And look, we all appreciate the work that you do, guys, and I can say as a former competitor driver that they appreciate it even more, because it's always good to know that there's people around who can help you. What's the kind of preparation that you do for an event like this in terms of the logistics that go on?
Well, most of us are CAMS accredited marshals, professional firefighters, nurses, doctors, paramedics. So we've got that training and background. So on Thursday we set up the MIV. There's extinguishers, recovery gear and first aid equipment in there. And then from there we go on to different stages wherever our Chief Safety Officer sends us.
Now, like a good driver in a past life, I did read the sup-regs, all 45 pages of them, and I actually read the list that you guys have to prepare, and the MIVs prepare for any kind of incident, emergency, and it's extensive. Tell us about some of the things that you carry.
Oh, like I said, we've got basic extinguishers. We've got some rescue gear. If it's a major rescue, then we involve SES and CFS. But we do have a minor rescue kit, we have a minor recovery kit. As you know, down the bottom we've got tow trucks for more serious recoveries. And medical-wise, Deb would be the best one to tell you that, because there's a couple of pages of equipment she carries.
Deb, what equipment do you think is essential to bring along to a rally?
Basically, we've got a good first aid kit with a bit more equipment than a normal first aid kit. We've got airway, breathing, circulation stuff as well. If I need to, I've been rallying in one form or another for nearly 30 years. I've been involved in 2 helicopter rescues. So if we need to bring in the big stuff, we do.
And Dan, I can tell you they have an array of painkillers that would make your eyes water.
Drugs here.
Not to share.
Look, we are, as drivers, co-drivers and spectators, very, very grateful for all the work you do, and we feel so much better for having you on board. Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much.
Yes, thank you very much for everything you do, absolutely. It's a remarkable job. Here we've got just that select crew. You've got to remember that there's crews at every single stage. So these guys will probably do 2, maybe 3 a day and then move on to the next one. So it's a ever-evolving group. They overlap each other going from stage to stage. It's a real family event, this one, not only with the competitors, but also with the crews as well. Year on year they are back here as we look down upon the Wairoa stage, the 830 metre stretch between Aldgate and Stirling. And it's great to see so many people here. They visit so many regions in and around Adelaide, the Strathalbyn region, Adelaide Hills Council, Beaumont, Burnside. They really do travel around. In total this year, 600, well over 600 kilometres are covered, 660 kilometres, 147 of those are competitive stages, so we've gained a stage this year up to 30, which is really, really cool. And we get the double run for the first time tomorrow at Strathalbyn, and there we see the first Porsche pull up on the grid. So this is, as I say, the Porsche Centre Adelaide Tour, and they'll be very closely followed by the Porsche Tour. So plenty of flat sixes to come, but a couple of different Porsches as well. As we look down upon the stage, the bright orange Porsche with Angus Sobels behind the wheel, the GT3 RS, and away he goes. Yep, underway. Now he's going to stop on the start line. I thought that's where we were for a second, but no, comes to a stop. He's going to get a little bit of a countdown. These tour cars separated by just 4 seconds. When the Spirit Tour and the competition category cars come through, they'll be separated at 30-second intervals. So Angus is about to head up the stage, and following him is a whole host of Porsches. Of that there is no doubt. In total, the Porsche Centre Adelaide Tour is say new for this year, but already 16 competitors, or 16 entrants I should say. There's at least 32. Remember, everybody has to have a co-driver. They read out the pace notes, they read out the road book as well between stages. But up the hill goes the man in the GT3, Angus Sobels. He's followed by Kevin Lai in the 911 Sport Classic. Just a few moments time, but down back through the gear changes. Oh, that was a Larry start, a very Larry start from Scott Long in his 718 GT4, nicely through the chicane. And then we've got a Porsche SUV as well. Accelerates well, that is for sure. That was Wayne Bowden in his Cayenne GTS. This is something a bit newer. This is a 2023 911 GT3 Touring, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. Let's listen. Awesome. Really, really good sound. Through the long right-hander, great drone footage there. And back through the left kink, underneath the trees. Trees are lining this entire stage, as you can see. Shadows all over the road. But on this sunny afternoon here from Aldgate to Stirling, it looks absolutely magnificent, showcasing Adelaide at its very, very best. There goes Sandro Casai in a 911 Carrera. That's brand new, 2024 model. Of course, the hardcore Porsche fans, they'll be able to tell you every single make and model from every single year. I can give you a pretty good estimate, but I do require a little bit of a cheat sheet to help me out on the exact year and the exact model. Away goes Vic Moore up towards turn and 1. He gave us the big thumbs up, flicks it right, flicks it left, and he did clip the little cone there as well, did Moore. So he just dabs the brake around the long right-hander, back on the throttle once again, and flicks it through the left kink before going right, and then hard on the brakes for that chicane. And there it is, just flashing on the brakes as he turned right. 911 on the side of this one, the lucky fellow who gets to run number 911 in a Porsche, and that one is Grant Lowen in a 911 Carrera S. There has to be one Porsche competitor that has to run 911. He is the lucky man this year, as through goes the 912 of Benjamin Allen. He's behind the wheel of 911 GT3. Through goes the Golf liveried Porsche. That looks absolutely immaculate. And he's followed through by something a little bit different, a little bit more old school, a 944. I just see blast past my commentary box window of Howard Moistion. Another soft top, another drop top. It's 905 of Dale Ashby, 718 Spider. There it is, the 718 Spider once again roaring down towards the chicane. And here back at the first temporary chicane, that's a slow route through there. That was the 906 of Darren Park. The next car's a bit more committed. That's James Law. Alongside him is Tina Law in their 911 GT3. Porsche, of course, synonymous with motorsport, had more Le Mans victories than any other brand. 19. They'll be looking to make it 2-0 next year. They've taken the win in the World Endurance Championship this year in both the hypercar and the GT3 LM category. Oh, that was mighty fast through there from Brad Trenwith. That's really committed in the Porsche Tour, putting on a show for the fans in his Cayman GTS. Through the natural chicane, then into the temporary one before the end of this stage. Hard up through the gears, away from the line. Flicking it left, flicking it right. Rob Edwards is just passing me as we see the next car taking off, away from the line. And the next one waiting there on the start line, Anthony Sullivan. Just going to wait the 4 seconds and then he will be underway. It's a mightily committed run here. Bit of a twitch there through the right-hander. We tomorrow will be able to showcase you the entire of the Strathalbyn stage. Very much looking forward to bringing that to you. Once again, the shortest stage in the rally, but one of the most spectacular in front of the huge crowd in the Adelaide country town. Looking forward to getting there tomorrow. If you do want to get there, rather than listen to me and Nick waffle on in your ear, make sure you get to Strathalbyn. The first run through will commence at 10:41. And the action will continue for around about 2 hours. There'll only be a half an hour break, and then we'll be on with run number 2, which will finish at around about 3 o'clock, just after 3. So make sure you head to the town of Strathalbyn for non-stop rally action tomorrow. That's a Porsche driving down the right-hand side of the road. Of course, in Germany, they would do that. They sit on the left-hand side of the car, they drive on the right-hand side of the road. So the Porsche there driving on what it would feel is its natural habitat. As up goes the Porsche 356 SC, the joint oldest car in the event this year, built back in 1964, so celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. And I know it's one of Nick's absolute favourite cars in the rally this year, and it looks absolutely magnificent out there with 356 on the Rego as well. We await next the Hyundai Tour. The Hyundai Tour, pretty new to the rally, so here's a little bit of information about the Hyundai Tour. Continues to grow in popularity, made up of iconic Hyundai N products built over the last 5 years. This year it includes the i20N, i30N, Kona N, and even an EV as well. They'll all be taking to the legendary Adelaide rally stages. So Paul Page has already gone up the hill, and now we're seeing the i20N Kona now, the i20 going up the hill, the 241 machine of Matthew Tonkin and Marianne Tonkin. It was a Kona N, I doubted myself there. I said an i20 and then a Kona N. It was indeed a Kona N. A huge variety here, the Kona N the biggest, the i20 the smallest, and the i30 in the middle. But all of the Hyundai N range going up the hill for us here today. There's even a Hyundai i30N fastback. As we see the 246 heading up there now, that's Tom Bernard, and Rachel Bernard in their i20N, and one of those cars as well had Priya Richards, the granddaughter of Jim Richards. In fact, it's just coming through the very next car. So they're a little bit further down the order than what she was previously. She's showing, she's in the passenger seat alongside Matthew Tortani. And there is the i30N fastback. Pushing to the limits there. Nathan was. So lots of variety there. Very much enjoy the Hyundai N Tour. That's actually Luke Page in his i30N sedan, I apologise. Alongside him, Matthew Williams. And then we await the Honda Tour, sorry. That was the Hyundai Tour, now it's the Honda Tour. Home to a few Civics, old and new. And we're leading the way with a new one. It's Martin Guppy going through the first chicane in what is a Civic Type R FL5, and then one of the loudest cars we've heard go through so far. That's Jacob Baker in his Civic EG3 from back in the day. The S2000, I didn't see that one this morning. Maybe we missed it, but it's there now. James Pitcher behind the wheel. Roof is down and it sounds absolutely fantastic. VTEC going through the sweeping turns from Aldgate through to Stirling, and then we move on to the main tour now. So for those people, the people like myself, they don't own any Ferraris or Lamborghinis or anything like that. They're not part of the BMW club or Porsche club, but you can enter in this. Here is Craig Lowndes and Lara Lowndes. Yes, that is 7-time Bathurst 1000 winner Craig Lowndes, and 3-time Supercars champion as well. Just a little bit of extra stuff in his CV. They are in a brand new Chevrolet Corvette, and they made the trip all the way from Queensland just for this event. I think they're even nipping back to Queensland before they return for the Adelaide 500, which is only 5 days away now. But great to have Craig Lowndes a part of the rally this year. He's raising awareness, along with Lara Lowndes, they're raising awareness for prostate cancer this year. Of course, remember to get tested. Always got to get tested for prostate cancer. So this is, I was sort of saying before, the Lowndeses went through. This is the main tour where anybody, if you own a little Lotus like this one on the screen, or a Lancer, or anything in between, you can enter in the main tour. Speed limited to 100 k's an hour, but you get 147 kilometres of glorious open road, just like the one we are seeing right here. That's 147 competitive kilometres of open road, 660 k's in total. And there goes another Corvette. Oh, then it's one of our favourites. Me and both me and Nick love this. The Dodge Hellcat Red Eye. Its name in itself is something to behold. Listen to the whine. It grumbles, it whines, it makes all sorts of brilliant and wonderful noises. And that would be a beast up this hill. It would be very heavy. You'd certainly be feeling it through these fast sweeping corners. It's not the most agile, but it's certainly one of the most spectacular. See the next car take off. That's a Corolla Yaris, I reckon. GR, yes it is the GR, no, that is the Yaris, GR Yaris. I thought it was a GR Corolla then, but no, it's the GR Yaris heading up the hill. Through goes the 332 machine, driven by Peter Onyuk. Nice to see him here this year alongside Andrew Powell in 2014 Porsche 911 GT3. This is the biggest tour in the rally this year. The main tour, 68 cars. I have to raise my voice as a Mercedes goes past. There's the new iteration of the Audi A110. Doesn't that look good? Doesn't it sound good? A real nod to the original that raced back in the 60s and 70s. And we've got an original later on in the tour. It'd be great to have both iterations. Even the front lights look like they are the original sort of pop-up headlights. Really, really, really cool. Ford Focus RS taking off from the line. Heading into the first chicane. That bollard looks like it's moved again to me. I reckon it's had another whopping from a car or two. These cars, many of them will be running on 98 petrol for this event. Cars must fill up at browsers. Again, and, you know, it just brings more and more into the local economy. Away we go. Of course, each day around 150 k's, so they can easily do, sorry, just over that, about 200 k's a day they do in total, 50 of those competitive each day, so just a quick fill up at the end of each day and they will be fine. So through they go. Here's the Subaru BRZ going through now. Great to see we've got a few 86s, but we do have that, the Soul BRZ as well. Up now we have a Nissan. Doesn't that look absolutely immaculate? I'm sure our drift fans will be a big fan of that particular machine as it roars away from the line. A little bit of smoke. Took that a little bit more tame than I expected through the first chicane. The chicane that is continuing to open. Michael sorry, I think that's Tour Leader 12, not Tour Follower 12 it is. That's Ross Smith on the wheel of his Nissan Skyline, of course. So great to have Ross here being a leader for this event. We see another Civic head up the hill. Flicks it right, flicks it left. On the power as early as possible. Oh, I can smell some. I'm getting a little bit of a smell in the van now. So some petrol and rubber both being burnt out there on the stage. An RX-7. Oh, he's taking it very slowly over the rise. He doesn't, the nose of that jump, he doesn't want to get any sort of air. That thing is very low to the ground. So that's the most unique line we've seen through there so far. Very, very much so. He's putting his foot down now though as there's no more rise. That's why that first chicane is there though, to slow down the speed of the cars over that jump. We don't want to see anybody launch into space and become a NASA pilot. So it's good to see them staying on the ground. That's why that first chicane is there. They do get a bit of air, but not as much as if that chicane was not there. So they go left and right. The red Mustang heading up the hill. Such variety. Here's something else a little bit different. So the main tour continues to come through. He's been waved on and away he goes. That's tour leader 13, Sean Bennett, a veteran of the Adelaide Rally. He knows how to steer anything, and oh, that's the biggest air we've seen through there. I'm sure we'll see a bit more of that in the competition category in the next few minutes. But that was almost Stadium Super Truck style over there. Of course, the Stadium Super Trucks will be returning to the Adelaide 500 in less than a week's time, aren't they? A crowd pleaser, just as Sean Bennett was as he launched over the crest there. I'm sure that'll be in their pace notes. Crest, as we say, they've got pace notes, and as well they have rally route notes as well. There's the Jaguar E-Type heading up the hill. Great to have that here, built back in 1967. We're sort of in our retro era now with the BMW 2002 going up. We got the old MGB GT as well. These are cars that you don't need to look at and go, is it a Porsche from 2022 or a Porsche from 2023 or something like that. These cars are so easily recognisable. They're really cool to have them. There's an AC Cobra in this little packet as well. So yeah, really cool to have these historic cars as part of the event. Not just the modern stuff, but some old classics as well. An old MX-5 going through. And that's driven by Roy Adams. Alongside him is Wayne Casey. Then the orange 911 of Jared Andrews. And Matilda alongside him as well. Here is the AC Cobra I was just talking about. Christopher Hodge behind the wheel. Just listen to that go up the hill, followed closely behind by a little VW Golf R, all-wheel drive product from Volkswagen, ultra fast off the line. And here is the old Alpine going through the first chicane, the Alpine A11, the 110. Built back in 1976, one of the real front runners of WRC and rallying in the early 70s. It was almost unbeatable at times. It really, really was. Look at how low it is. So streamlined. It passed Adrian Newey's aerodynamic tests even now, I'm sure. As Adrian Newey, of course, is going to be moving on at the end of this year from Red Bull Racing, of course, to Aston Martin as the main tour is coming to a close. We move now after this car onto our little electric range. So here is Peter Mayer in his Cayman 4-litre GTS. And then we go onto the electric cars that are coming through just behind it as well. I think it was led by the Hyundai. No, the Hyundai is the second one. I didn't catch what the first one was. It went past me without me even hearing it. It's the iconic 5N. And I can hear tyres protesting, and through as well goes the Kia EV6 GT. So a good little range of electric vehicles. There's 5 electric cars in the rally this year, the most we've had. And as well, we've got 11 hybrids this year as well. So a great variety of machinery, and that concludes the main tour. And up next we'll have the Spirit Tour. This is where we start to ramp things up a little bit. We begin to get a bit more serious before the competition cars come through. Spirit Tour, they wear a helmet, hands device. They're limited to a bit of a higher top speed, 120 k's an hour. So they can push that a little bit more, and we will see that as they sweep on through the stage. So they'll be coming through in a short time. They're also separated in 30-second increments as well. And I can see some officials running up the hill to fix the bollard once again. It's a full-time job, that one in itself, to be honest, by the looks of it. I don't recall it being hit quite as much as this in years gone by, but that bollard will be placed nicely. Again, thank you to all of our 375 volunteer marshals and officials. And they're doing a very nice job. The bunting doesn't look quite as good as it did at the start, but all that matters is that the cone is there. Nick, I believe you're down there in amongst the crowd.
I'm down here with Braden, who has his brand loyalty is to Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Braden, not too many Volkswagens in the event. I think there's a little Polo and...
yeah, I've seen 2 little Polos. Yeah.
Yep. Got the competition cars and the challenge coming up. Any favourites that you'd like to see do well in that?
Not exactly any favourites. I'm just kind of happy to see all the cars go fast, to be honest, and make some noise and go fast, basically.
And
we're all here for, I guess.
Where have you come from today to watch this event?
Myself personally, I come from Seaford, so bit of a trek, but it's not that far.
That's a bit of a trek, but it's not too far to watch cars.
No, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. The kids are all happy, so yeah.
Yeah, and the kids are here
as little ones are loving it.
As well, Dan.
2 here, and the little one just there.
They're being started young. Yep. They'll be petrol heads by the time they're old enough to get a licence. Back to you, Dan.
Thanks very much, Nick. That's exactly the age, I reckon, when I first started going to motorsport over in the UK. You got to start them young, get them keen, and certainly I was hooked from a very, very young age. And I'm sure you were much the same, Nick. We could reel off Ferrari facts before we could talk. As we see that Bollard has been replaced, and we await the Spirit Tour to come through. Not too far away now either from the competition categories, as we say, Comp, Challenge and TSD, our time, speed, distance category as well. As we see the cars heading up. I think that was just a local I caught there in the background. But yes, talking of the competition category, there's been a lot to talk about with Alex Rouleau taking part in the event for the first time this year. And he has been a dominant force so far this weekend. He really has. But it's been a great thing to see a former supercars driver and a front runner in the Australian Rally Championship going about his racecraft. And he's been the man to beat, as I say. He won every single stage yesterday, and he's continued in that dominant fashion again here today. I'm just having a look to see. He was equal with his father in stage 1 of the day, Hermitage. He won stage 13. He won stage 14. He won stage 15 as well. So he's won all 15 stages that we have reports of so far. We are on stage 20, and I can tell you that he is continuing to extend that margin out in front. Nick, I believe you're down there once again with somebody in the crowd.
I am. I'm surrounded by rally fans, Dan, and they're going to have a fight in a minute probably when the cars start coming through. I didn't even take names because they've all got different preferences, and we're just going to run through that. You, sir, what is your favourite brand?
Well, it would have to be Holden's, but no longer. More of a Porsche man now.
Well, there's been a feast of Porsches, and what about this little chap here?
You like the Porsches?
What's his name?
Noah.
This is Noah. I reckon Noah probably will be a Porsche fan when he grows up because he probably won't get a choice.
Yeah.
And you, sir, what's your brand of choice?
Lamborghini.
Ah, Lamborghini. Me too, only I can't quite make the checkbook size for that one. And you?
Beamers, those are my favourite.
Right, and you, sir?
And BMW, yeah.
So there's been a feast of BMWs here today from the BMW dealer. BMW Adelaide, and there's even been a couple of old school cars. What's your preference, the new ones or the old school cars?
For me, old school, yes.
What in particular?
90s and 2000s cars, so older 5 Series and older 3 Series. Yeah,
okay. So
I haven't seen any of them yet.
So we're going after E36, later than that?
A little bit before.
Okay, E30?
E34, E34 5 Series.
Now there is an E30 genuine M3 here today with the pumped guards. Corey Fechner is driving that one, and I think that's still to come through. Any others that you'd really like to see?
I don't know. I enjoyed watching the M6s go by, but I reckon I'm looking forward to the M3, the old one.
Okay. It's hard not to be impressed by the modern cars. We've seen them take off with all kinds of smarts, launch control, flappy paddle gear changes. They hardly even, some of them have to turn the launch control off to amuse the punters, but for the most part they hardly even squeak the tyres and they're away like a shot. Dan, I'll go back to you, but I'll come back with some more rally fans shortly.
Thanks very much, mate. No, you're hard at work down there at the start of the stage over in Aldgate. I'm just hearing that Alex Rouleau's continued to extend that lead. The most recent update is that Alex Rouleau in the competition class is now over a minute clear of his father. So yeah, he's doing very, very nicely. Both of them compete in the Australian Rally Championship in Hyundai i20Ns, and yeah, they are the real deal, the very cars that they compete in. But of course they've been changed from gravel rally cars to tarmac rally cars, and they won't be too far away. It's been a great battle between Peter Rouleau and Oscar Matthews. Oscar Matthews driving a Mitsubishi Lancer this year, as he did last year. He won the event. The joint winner, incredibly, after 29 stages last year and 128 competitive kilometres, there was a tie between Oscar Matthews and Naomi Tillett, and the driver of the other vehicle was Matthew Selly. So that was really, really cool that after all that time they were separated by absolutely nothing. The first ever tie in history. The guys are going to have to do something pretty special if they want to catch back up to Alex Rouleau at the moment. He's, as I say, now over a minute clear, but the 5 second is on, just 8 seconds between those two. In fourth position, in his Ford Escort, is Tom Dermody, and he is 21 seconds clear of 2022 Adelaide Rally winner Lovell. Lukash in his Nissan 200 SX is beyond that in position number 6. Island is in 7th position in his Mitsubishi Evo. He's only 14 seconds ahead of the Toyota Sprinter of Coulter, and then we've got Hedge, Lowe, and a couple of others that have had problems so far in the weekend. But it's a good field of competition cars once again this year. Maybe a little smaller in terms of size, but certainly not in terms of quality. In challenge, the man-man combination just continue to edge slightly further away. And like in competition, the tight fight is for second between Wheeler and Spry. And I think I can hear the first car heading towards the stage. We still have the Spirit Tour to come through. These are the guys that can test the water a little bit, have a bit of fun. They can push that a little bit more, and yeah, as a result, they have to wear a helmet. They're separated by 30 seconds at each interval, but they're very much looking forward to seeing these next few come through. Thanks very much for joining us on the Shannon's Adelaide Rally live stream. If you're just joining in for the first time this weekend, I'm Dan McCarthy, and Nick Lenthal is down there at the start line. A former competitor in the rally is busy chatting to various different fans and people, and when the competition cars come through, we'll get him to chat to some of those drivers, see how they are getting on. He had a chat to Jai Raymond earlier on. Sadly, he is out for the remainder of the weekend, and he's become an official. So I suppose we've got 376 officials now this weekend with the addition of Jai Raymond. Shame, though, we don't want to see him as an official. We want to see him out there in his Rover SD1. He was running inside the top 5 or 6. He was in a great battle, actually, in and around the top 5 in Challenge up until he didn't have an issue with the engine, but it was starting to flash up some things he didn't like to see, some lights, some hazard lights, so he thought he'd turn it off and call it a day for the rest of the weekend, which I think was a very fair decision indeed. As you look down upon the road that takes us from Aldgate to Stirling, separated these two country towns by just over a K, and this stage is 800 metres in length, and it's really well supported by not only locals, but as Nick has found out, some people from several hours away, people from Whyalla. We get some interstate visitors as well, and that's why it brings 7.1 has an economic footprint of $7.1 million, or it did last year anyway, and I'm sure we're going to build upon that this year with the amount of cars going up from just over 300 to just over 419 cars in total this year. That is quite something, on par with the very biggest Adelaide rallies in history, which is just amazing. It really, really is, particularly in this economic climate. I have to thank colour on demand for some of the stickers that you're seeing on all of these cars. They are supplied by Colour on Demand. They also did all of the printouts and the stickers for the Adelaide Motorsport Festival earlier on in the year, so we have to thank them. So all those car stickers and sponsor stickers that you see on the side, they are produced and printed by Colour on Demand, located in the city, a local Adelaide business, and they do a really good job. Great bunch of guys, very friendly staff members, so make sure if you need some printing done, visit Colour on Demand, I should say. Leader Computers are another Adelaide-based company, though. They provide computers for the event in Rally HQ, and they've certainly made life easier for the team down there. Jake Olker, the clerk of the course, one of the key men down in Rally HQ. They do a magnificent job, and they're constantly keeping an eye on every vehicle thanks to the rally safe devices that they are fitted with. They do a phenomenal job of keeping track of where everybody is and keeping an eye on everything in all of the stages. They're in constant communication to every stage, because you have to remember, while we're awaiting the Spirit Tour to come through, the cars we've already seen, they're moving on to the next stages. They're already not only at the next stage, they've already done the next stage, they're on to the following one after that. So there really is a spread. So as I say, we're here at Wairoa, but the first couple of groups, they're already onto Leeward Gardens, and in fact they're just now starting at Windy Point. So if you've enjoyed some of the recent cars you've seen and you're local to Windy Point, head over there now. The cars will be coming through for the next 2 hours, so head over to Windy Point. If you can't make it to Windy Point, they'll be heading straight down to the city afterwards. Goocher Street at 4 o'clock, which is now. So the cars anytime now will be turning up at Goocher Street in the city. All the cars will be headed there, and it's going to be a real party atmosphere. They've got DJs down there, and plenty more. You can get real up close and personal with all 419 cars in the rally this year. So make sure you head down there this evening. Goocher Street, not to be missed. Tomorrow there's plenty to see and do, though. We've got the Strathalbyn stages, of course, the town stages. But if you don't want to see a super special stage and you want to see a more regular rally stage, I suppose you'd call it, one that can't be missed, the iconic Mount Lofty stage. There's a prize on the line for the winner of that stage, and then Alex Rouleau has to be the favourite, doesn't he? After winning all of the stages, or the first 15 stages anyway, he has to be one of the favourites to win that one. A large majority of Alex Rouleau's lead came in the first half yesterday. He was straight on the pace, as you'd expect from a professional driver, and he's from there been tough to catch. The others have pretty much been matching him, just losing a second here or a second there from lunchtime yesterday onwards, but the damage was done early, and unfortunately they let the man off the leash, and they can't catch up to him to put it back on, and he is waltzing off now into the distance at this stage anyway. There's still a lot to go. Let's not count his chickens just yet. He's got plenty more stages to go tomorrow. There's still another 6 competitive kilometres after this today, and a further 35 competitive kilometres tomorrow as well. So Alex Rouleau still has to finish the job he has started in his Hyundai. Of course, Hyundai, very synonymous with rallying, of course. They're currently leading the World Rally Championship, both their drivers first and second in the series. Thierry Neuville looking to take his first title after being the runner-up on 5 different occasions. And a former champion, Oyt Tanak, has returned to Hyundai this year and has been his closest challenge. Hyundai have not taken the World Rally Championship, the Drivers' Championship, since they entered the series over a decade ago. Finally, they will do it in Japan in just over a week's time. But the question remains, who will it be? Will it be the Belgian Neuville, or will it be his closest rival, Estonian Ott Tänak? Well, we will find out in due course. Of course, Hyundai also announcing in recent times that they, in form of Infinity, will be joining the World Endurance Championship, which is cool. A lot of manufacturers jumping on board with that in recent times. Of course, at one stage it really was just Toyota, but last year Ferrari, Porsche, Cadillac, they all jumped on board, and they've been very, very competitive this year. Porsche winning the series, and then as well as that, since then this year we've had Lamborghini, we've had Alpine, we've had BMW join as well, and next year Aston Martin will be joining those ranks as well, which is really, really cool. Very much looking forward to that. I'm hoping to go to Le Mans next year. I've got my tickets anyway. I'm very much looking forward to that. Yeah, very much. Never been to Le Mans, never been to France, so that should be an experience in itself. What an event that is at the moment. It's one of the biggest motorsports in the world. Motorsport is going through a bit of a purple patch at the moment, of course. Formula One, mainly you'd say thanks to Drive to Survive, of course, but not only because of Drive to Survive, just the competitive racing particularly that we've seen this year. 4 manufacturers on any given weekend can take victories, from Red Bull to McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes as well. And as well, there's a few surprises that have been thrown in. I mean, who'd have thought the double Alpine podium, that was something out of left field, wasn't it? The double Alpine podium in Brazil with Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly. Of course, Jack Doohan next year will be stepping in to replace the Haas-bound Esteban Ocon next year. And Jack Doohan. So we'll have 2 Aussies back on the grid. Of course, we did for much of this year, but Daniel Ricciardo losing his seat to Kiwi Liam Lawson. So Jack Doohan will make it 2 Aussies on the grid next year, along with Oscar Piastri. But it's great to have Liam Lawson at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival earlier on in the year. He was a real crowd favourite, a real genuine nice bloke as well. And boy oh boy could he drive anything. He was driving Porsche 962s. He was driving the Rodin FZ open wheeler machine as well, that's based on the old Renault Formula One car, and as well as that he got behind the wheel of the Ford Supervan, the Ford Transit Ford Supervan. That was something else, wasn't it? If you've not watched the Adelaide Motorsport Festival live stream, I urge you to do so, and make sure you get trackside as well next year. Plenty of announcements have been made about next year's event as well, including the return of the 767 and as well the Calsonic Nissan. That's a new one. The Calsonic sponsored Nissan 88C. That was a legendary Le Mans car from that same era. And beyond that as well, there's been many other announcements. The Can-Am cars have been announced in recent days, and David Brabham will be returning to the event. Last year he drove a Brabham. This year he'll be driving a Brabham, but the Brabham that he raced at the Adelaide Grand Prix back in the day. That's cool. Very, very much looking forward to having that and him as well at the venue. Of course, a former Le Mans winner himself, David Brabham. So very much looking forward to having David Brabham with us. Of course, relation to the late Sir Jack Brabham, 3-time Formula One World Champion, and the only man to ever win the Formula One World Championship in a car emblazoned and run by himself, but with the Brabham name. An iconic story that'll never be repeated, I'm very, very sure of that, way back in 1966. Most recent champion, most recent Australian champion, Alan Jones in 1980. Can Oscar Piastri or Jack Doohan join that list and become another Australian Formula One driver? We certainly, Australian Formula One champion. We certainly hope so, don't we? That is for sure. But we await the Spirit Tour still to come through at the moment. Of course, plenty to talk about in the competition classes, as I've already touched on. But tomorrow, lots of stages to see and do. But doesn't this event, you can see it brings the community together. And it's free as well. You don't have to pay to get stage side. It's free entrance. You just come to the stage. You obviously stand behind the bunting. And you can watch all of the action. And it's 2 hours of entertainment. So it's a full day's... a full morning or afternoon's action, that is for sure. But if it's a double run, there's several stages that have been run twice throughout the event, one of which will be the Strathalbyn town stage tomorrow. 2 runs through that, which will go from about 10 o'clock in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. But you can see those the way the dedicated spectator points are laid out. As I say, if you're near Belair or Blackwood, Hawthorne Dean, somewhere around there, make sure you head over to Windy Point. We're not live streaming that one, but it is a iconic Adelaide rally stage. They're just going through there, the first few cars at the moment. It doesn't just bring the community together. There's a real camaraderie between the drivers and the teams, the organisers, the officials. It really is a big group of people, a band that really travel around the world, both boys and girls, men and women of all ages. It's a fantastic event to be a part of. I'm lucky enough to have been a commentator since 2022 on the live stream. The live stream starting back in 2021, and great images brought to us by the Streamcraft media team. We have to thank them for their shots. Just that little bridge there across the road, that is a train line. It runs from here to Melbourne. It's a freight line. So yeah, that's one of the many ways, of course, trade is done by train. And we can see the flag, Adelaide, South Australia. Of course, this event supported by the South Australian government, who are big sports fans, haven't they? Done a lot for the state in recent times. Of course, we now got the gather round if you're a footy fan. But of course, in the motorsport landscape, they revived the Adelaide 500, they revived the Adelaide Motorsport Festival, and the Adelaide Rally has continued to run as well. But they've done a lot in recent times. To say the gather round, the golf tournament, the international golf tournament as well, that runs every so often down at West Beach and the like. There's so much to see and do in Adelaide. If you're a wine fan, you got the McLaren Vale wine region, and as well as that, you've also got the Barossa Valley wine region as well. And it looks like the Spirit Tour leader course car is coming through now. Just making sure that the stage is clear before the next group of cars, because it's been so long since the last car went through. We're sending up another vehicle, BMW M3. So many M product cars this year, M2s up to M6s. About the only one we don't have is an M1. Of course, the M1 dating back to the 80s, an iconic car, that one. Yeah, it still remains an iconic car to this day, with its doors and the way it looked. It really was quite unique at the time. It was, of course, a BMW M1 championship, a sort of all-star series that I remember Alan Jones competed in, Emerson Fittipaldi, the M1 Pro car, I think it was called, back in the day. That was a real iconic race series. Didn't last too long though. Nicky Lauda, Nelson Piquet, it was all the F1 drivers of the day that were competing in it. Carlos Reutemann, that really was something else. Absolutely amazing series. Be cool if they brought something like that back for Formula 1 in this day and age, but I don't think they'll do it now with all their brand loyalties and things. It just would not be possible. The capital city of Adelaide is quite simply just down the hill from where we are. Stirling, the other end of this stage, the end of the stage, is an entry onto the freeway. It's less than a 7-minute drive to the bottom of the freeway. I think it's about 6 minutes to the bottom of the hill. Put the Portrush Road crossroad intersection, and then you head down Glen Osmond Road and you're in the city within, again, about another 5 minutes. The city really about 12 minutes away from where we are. It's quite hard to believe with the greenery that surrounds this area. Nick Lenthal, who's down there at the start line, is a local, a Stirling local, so he knows these roads very, very well. It's a lovely part of the country. I can hear the birds tweeting over my headphones. I can still see my koala mate up in the trees as well. So we've seen alpacas, as I say, we've seen dogs, we've seen a few birds, but a koala, an Adelaide Rally first for me. It looks like he's climbed a little bit higher. Clearly not a fan of some of those V12 machines and the V10s, the Lamborghinis, the Lexus LFA. Isn't that a great machine, the Lexus LFA, driven by John Paul Drake? As I say, he races in the Australian Prototype Series, a South Australian motorsport stalwart these days, really. The name Drake, a familiar one to many South Australians. That is the Drake that owns the food chain, the Drake's Supermarkets. And John Paul Drake, a motorsport tragic of that, there is no doubt. At the Bend earlier in the year, I was commentating a state round. He was driving in 3 different categories on that weekend. So yeah, he absolutely loves motorsport. But it's really been a great addition once again here at the Adelaide Rally, the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. They understand your passion for motoring, do Shannons. If you're a passionate motorist, with Shannons, they'll ensure not only your daily drive, they'll also ensure your motor racing car. They'll even ensure your spare engines and things that you have in the garage as well. So there's plenty to there's plenty that they will cover for you. Of that there is no doubt. Not the only sponsor of the event, of course. There are many that back this fantastic event as well. SA Motorsport Tyres supplies tyres based in Dudley Park. Calderwealth Management as well. Leader Computers, Bowden Car Care Products, Colour on Demand, and many, many more. As I believe, Nick, you've just got something to raise. It's great that so many different sponsors get involved in this event.
It is, and it's really good for the state. A lot of them are local sponsors like Leader Computers and SA Motorsport Tyres, Solitaire, Zagami, all those people. I'm just standing down here on the start line, Dan. We've got a little bit of a hold-up, as you're very aware of, because you've had to fill in those gaps. And we're just waiting for the next few packets of competition category cars to arrive. And I'm down here with Barry from the... Barry Vyson from the Vyson network of radio operators who work on all of these events, and even in state emergencies when things like all our electrical towers fall over, they can keep the communications going. We've got spectators down here who've come from far and wide, so lots of locals with families, and even people from 400 kilometres away. In fact, just seen a car arrive. It's the VW Golf Polo. It's a safety officer car, so maybe they're getting ready to open the stage for our next few people. Now, Nick Waldy, who's the stage commander down here, has told me that if I'm quick, I might be able to get an interview with Alex Rouleau as he lines up on the start line to do the stage. So I'm not pushing my luck here. Nick's going to give me a hand if I need it. But back to you, Dan. We'll do our best.
Thank you very much, Nick. Yes, there we are. A car about to go up on this particular stage. Nick, if you're still there, what's the atmosphere like down there in the at the start line? We've seen a few cars go through now. What's the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere's really good. We're getting a bit impatient because we want to see some real fast cars now. I had a long chat with two enthusiasts there who the next thing for them is they want to be in the event. and so we had a long chat about what sort of price ranges we could work to build cars. And I know we had this chat the other day, Dan, that I think for $10,000 you could build an entry-level car to do the event, maybe a little hot hatch. And if you were thinking more like $25,000 to $30,000, maybe a Toyota 86 or Subaru BRZ. And look, if you're lucky, you might even find one that's already had some of the fit-out done, maybe a full cage or a suspension setup. But look, there's so many ways to go about it. And what we were talking about was just what level to pick. Whether you start out as a tour entrant, or whether you go straight to a little bit quicker class like the Spirit Tour, or whether you want the thrill of competition and you actually want to get in on the challenge category or the full competition category. What are your thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you raised there, Nick. You can get in the competition categories, but if you just want to drive your little Golf in the event or anything like that, you simply just enter it. Pay the entrance fee and away you go. There's nothing more to it than that. You just got to sticker the car up with the sponsors' logos. But it can be, if you want to be, as pretty much as cheap as you like. You can enter in those tours. The thing is, though, Nick, I was already seeing yesterday on Facebook people commenting, going, "I'd like to drive my car in the main tour next year. How do I apply? How do I pre-register?" The answer was go onto the website. But incredible already that there's interest to compete next year.
It is really healthy, isn't it? And look, we know from those few comments that we had from some old stages this morning that there's a few of the old guard looking to come back into the competitive category of the event. A big part of it's just choosing at what level you want to operate at. But these days, modern cars are so good, they handle so well, they've got great performance. You can buy a used, maybe 3 or 4 year old performance car for not a whole lot of money, and there's not a lot you need to do to it. Maybe if you put on some real good brake pads, and you could go some sticky tyres if you want, so you're probably going to spend $2,000 prepping the car just in that context, and you could do the tour and have a really enjoyable car to drive, because it's not going to fade its brakes out. It's going to have good cornering because the tyres are really up to the task, and they'll last the 3 days without a problem. You'd probably do maybe 1 or 2 years on those tyres, and have an absolute ball for not a lot of money.
Absolutely correct there, Nick. But what about the economic value it brings to this state? I mean, the amount of thousands of people that are aligning this stage, we'll see the same tomorrow in Strathalbyn. Goocher Street tonight is a huge revenue builder for the state. It brings so much interest. There's not only people from outside of Adelaide, but outside the state and even international. We've got a couple competing this year from Singapore.
That's right, it brings people from far and wide. It is worth a lot of money to the state. And look, a lot of people here today in Aldgate and lining the road all the way up to Stirling. But Strathalbyn tomorrow is going to be another story, because, as we know from last year, the town was absolutely chock-a-block with people, all admiring the 300 or so exotics that were lined up in the streets of Strathalbyn, but also just taking in the history of the town, taking in coffee shop after coffee shop after coffee shop, admiring all the motorcyclist bikes who are down there for the day. Strathalbyn is a beautiful, beautiful little town, and we're so lucky to have the Alexandrina Council on board and helping us with water barriers for the stage, and just being a great partner for us in the stage, and we really hope that we're adding to their tourism and to their economy.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I'm very, very sure that we are. All the action kicks off from Strathalbyn. The first car is due to take off at just after 10:30. But the Lownses will be there as well, Nick, as well as Charlie Dixon, and they've got a bit of a competition, a different sort of competition, not against the clock, but in terms of presentation.
Well, Charlie Dixon is going to judge some street machine type cars that are taking part in a show and shine, and I believe that Craig Lowndes' wife, Lara, has been nominated the judge for the other cars, some of the women entrants in that show and shine. So it looks like Craig got the short straw for that one, and Lara's the star. But great to have Charlie Dixon down there. Charlie, of course, we already know, aside from being a great footballer, he has a passion for cars. He's a drag racer, he's a street machine builder, and he's even started a business of his own called Driven by Dixon, or Driving with Dixon. You'll see a lot more of him in the future, following his passion as he gets a little bit older, and maybe the body isn't quite so eager to play another game of AFL footy.
I'll test your knowledge here, Nick. You're a local of this particular region. Wairoa, this stage. Can you remember why this stage is called Wairoa?
I hate it when you do this to me, Dan. These little knowledge tests.
I do have the answer.
It's named after the Wairoa mansion, which is not visible to us right now, but it's behind us through the trees. It's a very, very old, stately home, and the stage was named after it. We're lucky to have, again, a couple of little townships, Aldgate and Stirling, where I live, and you live not far away in Cherry Gardens, that have embraced the rally this way. So good. And we're just talking to people around the area who've been to watch this stage again and again and again and again. So the residents in the area not only, would you say, tolerate the stage, they love the stage. They've completely embraced the stage, and they want it to be here for a long time to come. Don't you reckon that's good news?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I'd like to think as well, you know, like we said earlier on today when we were at the Hermitage stage, this is an iconic stage, it's been around for so many years. We said the same with Cherryville Plus that we were at throughout yesterday. That's the longest stage on the rally, that's been there since day dot. But this, in a very different way, is equally as popular to those historic and iconic Adelaide rally stages.
We've just had the Spirit Tour lead car pull up, and they will be starting the Spirit Tour off shortly. I don't know if Nick Waldie's going to let me have a word to John Caldecott, who's in the wrong chair in the tour leader car. I'll just move in and see if I can steal a word with John.
We're on 5 seconds.
On 5 seconds. I'm going to let you go.
3,
see you, mate.
1. See ya.
There he goes, just on cue. So yes, probably not worth the chat. Well, you did. You got a little bit out of him. He told you how long until he's heading up there. The answer is imminently, which is fantastic news. So, Spirit Tour has arrived. Thank you for staying with us through that little bit of a delay. We are back underway, and we are really ramping things up now. As you can see, helmets are fitted to these machines. It's the Spirit Tour. Listen to that thing roar up the hill. It's the Ferrari the Ferrari 355 comes over the brow of the hill and heads towards the end of the stage. Only a short little blast, this one. But great to have a 355 challenge machine join us here this weekend. It's been one of my favourite cars, and I'm sure it's been many of yours at home as well. A real great addition. And the cars, hopefully from now, will be going pretty thick and fast throughout the stage. But yeah, the 355 challenge, the F355 challenge, driven by Mark Hoffman. Hard to believe that car was built back in 1997, the same age as me, but it's aged a lot better than I have, I can assure you of that. But of course that was replaced by the 360, then we had the 430, the 458, the 488, and now the 296, the Ferrari Evolution, continues to move on. The technology gets more and more advanced year after year. And here we have a look at a Gazoo Yaris at the start of the stage. Of course, Toyota Gazoo Racing competing not only in WEC, but more notably for us, WRC. And that is Wheeler Watchop out there. 2020 model, but yeah, the Toyota Gazoo Racing team are until this year dominated rallying in recent times with Ogier, Tanak, and notably as well Kalle Rovanperä in recent years, taking titles for the iconic Japanese brand. So Zoo Yaris certainly has rallying pedigree. You can see why, the way it launches away from the start. Such a tiny little car, but it really does pack a punch with its huge turbocharger. And watch out, driving up the stage at speed, as you say they can go. 120 in this particular class. We're seeing that used up through past the Wairoa mansion. Next up we have Adam Boylan in a 10-year-old Subaru WRX STI. He flicks it right, he flicks it left, and he heads towards the jump. The Arkabar Road Jump, which we do affectionately know as the Arkabar Jump. Just a little crest, that's why that little temporary chicane has been added in, just so we don't send our drivers to orbit. But this is the fastest run we've seen up the hill so far. Ben Corbett alongside him in their 7-year-old Focus RS. Not pushing to the same limits as he goes over the Arkabar Jump as what the previous runners did, but nevertheless, great to have them a part of the event this year. That right hand is pretty tricky. We saw Robert Brocklebank have a big slide through there earlier on in the earlier last year in this stage, the corresponding stage. Last year just about kept it out the curb and out the grass, but nice run through there. Bumped into his co-driver a few hours ago, his former co-driver I should say, a few hours ago, Max Chavalar. He says, I want to be back in the future driving, not as a co-driver, but back in the Adelaide Rally driving. Unfortunately not here competing this year, but he is watching from the sidelines, so we hope to see Max out there in some car or another. He wouldn't reveal the secret of what he is hopefully going to drive, but he promises something quite special, as we see Nick Pappas line up on the grid in his 993 twin turbocharged Porsche. Something a little bit different. This is going to sound good as it rolls away from the line. Get ready for Nick to go. And on the brakes, up the rise. It's a bit of a downhill to start with. Oh, and a little bit of a clip there. It does come up as Ryan Thorpe there, so maybe a late change in the... that's because originally Nick Pappas was going to be in 412, and that changed to... sorry, Ryan Thorpe was going to be in 412 originally, and changed to 401. So I do believe that was Nick Pappas behind the wheel, but that was a late change again through those two switching numbers. But nevertheless, they continue to come through. I know it wasn't, that was definitely Nick Pappas, because that was certainly not a Ford Escort Mark 1 RS 2000. So yeah, that is who is behind the wheel. Ryan Thorpe behind the wheel of the Ford Escort. So definitely Nick Pappas behind the wheel. That was a late change. Very late nonetheless. Oh, awesome sound. Let's listen to it again out of the chicane. Got a little bit sideways and a little bit of a lift, as in air, lift off for Dan Standish over the jump, the Arkabar jump. 402 is Ben Old in his 997 GT3 CS. But those are a little bit of flames I saw kick out the back. Oh yes, a little bit of air. I don't think the wheels quite lifted, but the suspension was certainly brought into action there as he rounds the really long right-hander, then the flick left, the flick right, and down on the brakes hard into the second of the temporary chicanes. Here we are, 3, 2, 1, go! The countdown is up, and away goes the Mitsubishi Evo of the man who is not the man from Monsters Inc. It's Mike Chiweski, not Mike Wazowski. There it is, Wilczynski. So yes, he makes a bit of a joke about that. But great to see him here this weekend. Doesn't push as hard as some, but the machine is immaculately presented. It looks like a proper race car as another Gazoo Yaris goes up the hill and is being driven hard. That's the 432 machine. That's Daniel Kaliz, who is absolutely loving his new launch control he's got with his Motec system. He told me yesterday he is driving really hard this year. I don't recall him driving quite this hard in years gone by. He's absolutely loving it. He loves it year on year, comes back, can't stop coming back, always behind the wheel of his GR Yaris. And I'm sure he'll be back again in 2025. Subaru Impreza next, in the Subaru Blue, as you would expect. Over the rise, no air there for Gilles Hunter. Little bit of a dab of brakes just to settle the car through the long right-hander. Now he's on the throttle through the left. A little bit of a lift off, no brakes through there. And then hard on the brakes once again as he goes through the final few corners. The Colin McRae inspired livery, or not Colin McRae, but the Subaru factory inspired livery that we so closely associate with Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz from back in the day. He was another one there to clip that bollard. He's one of what, it's got to be at least a dozen cars to clip or clobber the bollard so far this event. This particular stage is stage 20 of 30 in the Shannon's Adelaide Rally this year, so we still have a third to go. 2 stages today and then a further 8 tomorrow, as through goes the Honda Integra, being pushed to the very limits as always. Always pushed hard is this machine by Kyle Newhill. The Dalavales, great to have them back as well in 2024, once again behind the wheel of their Subaru. Subaru got to be one of the most popular, and particularly the WRX, most popular makes and models in the event this year. Dalavale swings it through. Look at how long, the never-ending right-hander. This one's a pretty tricky one as well. You probably want to get a late apex to line yourself up nicely for the flip-flop chicane. As we turn our attention back to a Mercedes. We saw the Mercedes AMG Tour come through earlier on. Of course, they've been with the Adelaide Rally for quite some years, but great to see a huge turnout. Glenn Winter, another one of them. Glenn Winter, that's a C63 AMG. He's made his way all the way from Queensland to be a part of the event this year. He's not the only one in this category. Gilles Hunter, who we saw just before in a Subaru WRX, he's made the trip from Victoria. Jack Bowers we'll see soon. He's in a current, a modern 2024 spec Porsche GT3 RS. He's from New South Wales, so got some real interstaters making the trip to compete solely in the Adelaide Rally this year. Another Subaru, James Coleman behind the wheel of this one. Alongside him is Bruce Coleman. This the 2003 model. Oh, look at the air! That must have been a good 50, 60, maybe even 70 centimetres off the air. That was quite spectacular over the rise there. Oh, he's missed the apex of left-handed. This is a committed run from Coleman. That was awesome to see. That really, really was. Oh, that was awesome. That sent my hairs standing up. My hairs really are standing up on my arm. That is awesome, that sound. There is Bowers. As I said, he was going to come through in his 2024 spec GT3 RS. That is the latest Porsche GT3, the top of the range model as well. Awesome to have that here. Another 2024 Porsche, another 911 GT3 RS. Guy Dorner behind the wheel of this one. Another bit of air. Oh, just sounds awesome. The flat 6. Let's listen to it as it comes past this camera. Sounds like a group of Carrera Cup cars, doesn't it? Or a Carrera Cup car. Of course, Carrera Cup will have their season finale in less than a week's time on the streets of Adelaide. The Adelaide 500 Carrera Cup season will come to an end. Oh, our latest bollard clobberer, and another one who doesn't want to get any air over the Aqaba hill. Brendan Green at the wheel of that machine. That's a 2022 Porsche GT3. A small rear wing compared to the 2024 model. You can see the just subtle differences, can't you, between the two. So up next, this car, very, very special, very special rallying history, rallying heritage. Driven by Jim Richards in Targa, Tasmania back in the day, and great to have that a part of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally in 2024. Shannon's a big sponsor of Jim Richards, career late on when he was racing in Touring Car Masters, and that was after he had his brief fling with tarmac rallying, but great to have that car here. Jim not behind the wheel. We do actually have his granddaughter here, Priya Richards. She was on earlier out there in the Hyundai Tour. Great to have her a part of the event, sitting alongside Matthew Tortani, 2 motorsport media identities that do a lot of work behind the scenes, working various videos and editing and the like for various different categories. So great to have them part of the event in 2024. As off goes the Ford Falcon up the hill, flings it through the chicane. I think those bollards will have to be fixed again before the competition cars come through, because they'll be committing through there at such speed. An advantage will be gained at the moment, the way those bollards are. Falcon taking it a little bit easier than some of the ones that we've seen in recent times, but nevertheless great to have Colin Zipveld. Then Colin Zipveld, not quite used to going at Spirit Tour speed. He's used to calculating some numbers as a usual perennial front runner in the TSD class. TSD still to come after competition and challenge. TSD, the time, speed, distance category. It's all about trying to achieve the target time set by the organisers. And Zipveld, both the Zipvelds, he and Colin Zipveld alongside of him, both veterans of doing that. Not quite used to pushing so hard. Look at this, old Porsche from back in 1970 and driven by Hamish Eaton. Not the oldest Porsche we have here this weekend, as we saw earlier. We got the Porsche 356 SC, a great addition to the event this year. Can't wait to see that on the streets of Strathalbyn tomorrow. If you are tuning in around the stage on the live stream, oh, look at the tyre smoke. Nick will be absolutely loving that and smelling it. Of that I have no doubt. Both he and Dylan, the cameraman, will be loving that with C63 away from the line. Just bursting into wheel spin. Didn't use his launch control there, that's for sure. Certainly pushing it up the hill is Dimitrios, having a whale of a time, as everybody is. Everybody out there with a smile on their face in the Shannon's Adelaide Rally, enjoying themselves in this particular tour now, the Spirit Tour. Well, he's committed early on, but a big lift there from Paul Caffin in his GR Yaris. There are a couple of GR Corollas as well this year, which is good to see. I think I called a Corolla Yaris earlier on, and I'm sure it was a Corolla. It was all black. I've had a few Toyota 86s, but this, the Subaru BRZ, and that's driven by William Scott. Jordan House alongside him. But great to see that we do have a BRZ amongst all of the 86s, of course, the 86 series and the scholarship series as well underneath it. The 286 series have been a real birthplace of junior drivers in recent times. Brock Feeney and Will Brown, both graduates of that series, and both of course now leading the championship, and one of those will become a first-time Supercars champion on the streets of Adelaide next weekend. So that just shows the calibre of drivers that come out of that series. Peter Castle in a bit of a different Subaru Impreza, in black with a yellow stripe over it. It's a bit of a different shape as well. There's all different shapes, I'll get it out in a second, shapes and sizes, as we can hear down on the grid the rumbling of car engines. Just sounds absolutely glorious. Nick, you're down there with your escorts, are you?
Dan, I am down here on the grid. It's Mark 1 Escort bragging rights. We're ready to go. First of the Mark 1s. Now that's a bit of a cheat. That's an Ss20 turbo Nissan engine in the Escort. But this is the real deal. This is a Cosworth YB, naturally aspirated. Listen to it rev. Who doesn't love an Escort, Dan?
I know you certainly do, Nick. That is for certain. We're still looking at the first Escort, the yellow one, heading up the hill. Here we are. Away we go. Awesome. Really cool sound from Ryan Thorpe blasting up the hill. A Mark 1 RS 2000 Escort in British racing green as well. They've even got green headlights, green stripes, green wheels. That is immaculately presented. As is this one, a slalom away from the line. If you can even hear me on the live stream. Through goes Beck. Daniel Beck in his Mazda RX-2, the rotary engine wailing away as he heads up the hill. 1971, now well over 50 years old, but it still flies up a hill due to its lightweight nature. Here's one of my favourites, the tribute liveried BMW 635. Made to look exactly like the one Jim Richards and the light race back in the day. Real low groan to it. Bit of a dab of the brakes around the long right-hander. If you don't know this stage well, it's a little bit of a double apex. You turn in early, drift out to around the middle of the right hand, back in again for a late apex. Look at the speed difference off the line. That's all-wheel drive performance playing out in front of our eyes. Ben Clark is not holding back, that's for sure. Absolutely flying up the hill. Leclerc Eagle alongside of him this year. That is committed. This is a very committed run. There is the 407 of Jared McGaffin. He's been another driver that is fully committed. Away he goes, wheel spin off the line, all-wheel drive. And there are those bright lights again. Oh, got some air and a little bit of a tyre squeak as it came back down to earth. That was cool to see. Really good stuff. Holding a real tight line there again. The lights blazing upon our cameras. And he was flashing those lights earlier on at Hermitage to the crowd down at the hairpin that we saw. For something a bit different, we go to a little Suzuki Swift. I think the only Suzuki Swift in the rally this year, Lachlan Etherton. It said on the back of the Subaru, had a good chuckle in Parc Fermé on Thursday night at the in the rear windscreen. If in doubt, power out was one of the messages, and the other one was, it's not about the destination, but the way you hit the curb. So he's out there having an absolute whale of a time, is Lachlan Etherton out there in his red Suzuki Swift. We turn back the pages, the screen's gone all black and white as we take a look back at the past. That is Peter Barry in his 1970 Mercedes-Benz 280 SL. And I say that nice and quietly. I say that nice and slowly because this is a nice smooth drive up the hill from him, Peter Barry, certainly taking in the sights and the sounds of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally this year. This will probably be a bit more committed. This is the Connor Lacey driven Honda Civic Type R. It's very, very, very low to the ground. He'll be taking it very easy over the crest, the rise, the Arkabar Hill, which is just after the first chicane. Here we go, revs rise. And he's already braking for the first chicane, but how's he going to take the hill? Oh, pretty committed actually, and you heard it pop as he lifted off the throttle. That was cool. That was really cool. I didn't think he'd take that quite as hard as he did. That was great to see, and that's a very, very modern Honda Civic Type R, built only last year. And here we are, the final of the Spirit Tour runners. After this, we are on to competition. Through goes the S60, as always driven hard by Gordon Christie. That's the Volvo S60 made famous locally by Scott McLaughlin 10 years ago on the streets of Adelaide on that twilight race on the Saturday evening. Very similar to what it is now, just as the sun began to set. Of course, here in Adelaide, 5 o'clock local time. The shadows are certainly getting a little bit longer. Sunset around about 8 o'clock, but the shadows are certainly growing. And up next we will have the first of the categories. The competition category is up next. Here's a little bit of information about what is to come over the next few minutes. Competition, the outright category. Open to modern or classic cars with current road registration, plus some other general requirements. Cars must be fitted with a roll cage, with double door bars, science bar and other members as stated in the regulations. Participants will leave at 30-second intervals on closed road stages, limited to 200 kilometers an hour. The fastest driver across the 30 stages wins the outright category. So competition not too far away now. Very much looking forward to seeing them hit the stages. I've just got a little bit of an update on where we are at. This is at the end of stage 18. This is stage 20, but as close to accurate as we can get. Alex Rouleau has continued to extend the margin. The former Supercars driver with Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport and co-driver Kelly Racing as well, alongside Simona Di Silvestro, and current front runner in the Australian Rally Championship, the West Australian, has turned his attention to tarmac rallying, rallying full stop, tarmac rally this weekend. Normally gravel rallying in the Australian Rally Championship, but he leads the way by 1 minute and 5 seconds ahead of his father Peter Rouleau, who is in an identical Hyundai i20N Rally 2 car. He, though, is only 6 seconds ahead of Oscar Matthews. That margin was bigger earlier on today, but has come down in recent times. So Oscar Matthews putting in a good couple of stages midway through the day and has closed that down to 6 seconds. He knows this stage well and might be able to close in another second or two in this one. Tom Dermody, in his Ford Escort, is going to be in 4th position. 20 seconds he is ahead of Lovell. So a good fight for position number 4 in the rally. Two very different eraed machines, a 78 Escort and a 2007 Subaru WRX. After that we have Andre Lukács in his Nissan 200 SX. Island, a former winner of this event in his Mitsubishi Evo. He's not been as fast as me and Nick potentially expected early on, but it's his first time back in this category in a number of years, and I think first time behind the wheel of that car, so getting to grips with things. Beyond that, we've got Coulter in the Toyota Sprinter, Zach Hedge in the Porsche 911, and Lowe in the Abarth Berliner. As you see our four-legged friends on the stage, he's very much enjoying that stick, is the dog there, and very much enjoying all of the action from the Wairoa stage, stage 20 of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. Fans are enjoying it, waving around. They probably know that they are on the live stream coverage. Of course, many of them with their phones out will be watching and tuning in on the Shannon's Adelaide Rally live stream. If you are tuning in, make sure you get stage side tomorrow or head to tonight's party, Gucci Street party. Cars are heading there now, the first cars, but of course we've still got the competition category, the challenge category, and TSD to come. So plenty still to come. These are the cars that many of these fans have been waiting for. The competition cars still to come. Very much looking forward to these. You can see the fans lining up next to the Thomas Gas plant. That's situated on the run between Aldgate and Stirling, and I think I can hear a train as well, so there's plenty around this area, as well as two lovely little villages in the Adelaide Hills. It's springtime, it's a lovely time to come down here. If you're interested in supercars, of course next year we've got the final, where 4 drivers will go in with a mathematical chance no matter what, heading into the final round. The new final series is going to take place, and there is the train I was hearing. It's a cool shot. But yeah, make your way to South Australia next year. The Adelaide Rally traditionally takes place a week before the 500, so you can enjoy the Adelaide Rally, spend a week here, see all the tourist destinations, the Barossa wine region, head down to Victor Harbour, maybe as well to the Deep Creek Conservation Park as well. Flinders Ranges, there's plenty to see and do around the Adelaide region, but you can see the train going over the bridge that goes across the Shannon's Adelaide Rally stage. The marshal there heading up the little run towards the first chicane to fix the bollard once again as we await the competition categories. It's been headed by one man throughout, Alex Rouleau. So yeah, it's looking forward to seeing what is to come over the next few minutes. Very much looking forward to what is to come. We can see the train carriages continue to come through, the freight carriages, which comes all the way from Melbourne to Adelaide and back from Adelaide to Melbourne. Trying to work out which direction that's going in. Off the top of my head, I can't quite work it out. But I'm just getting a little bit of an update. Correct, as of end of stage 19. Alex Rouleau's extended that margin even more. He now leads 1 minute and 9 seconds ahead of Peter Rouleau, and Oscar Matthews a further 8 seconds behind. So he's lost a couple of seconds in that last stage, but still plenty to see here at the Shannon's Adelaide Rally, the Wairoa stage, stage 20 of the event. And I can see the first of the competitors lining up on the stage just behind, so plenty to see and do. And Nick's heading down there. He's going to have a chat to some of our competitors. I think that might be the Weirings who were there first on the stage, ready to go. I think it is, so great to see them here once again this year. Yeah, it certainly is the Weirings. Nick, down to you.
Thanks, Dan. I've got Cameron and Tanya Waring down here having a red-hot go yesterday, but they had a little bit of bad luck. Cameron, tell us what happened.
Oh, look, it's a bit of a convoluted story, so I'll keep it simple. We ended up having the wrong socket fitted to the rattle gun and couldn't get the wheel off. So we had a big 20-minute delay, and so we were very, very proud of fourth, and now we're last.
Mate, that's really sad news because we were rooting for you. Dan and I were watching your progress and the BMW looked and sounded great. And I knew that the notes would be good because I've had first-hand experience of Tanya sitting alongside me. Guys, all the best for what's left of today. At least you get to do Windy Point, and I know you're going to love it.
Oh, thank you very much. And just want to thank the event and Motorsport Academy. We're having a ball.
Cheers, guys. All the best. Back to you, Dan.
The ADI Driver Academy he is referring to, of which he is actually a driver there, a driver trainer, is Cameron Waring, so he certainly knows how to drive, so I'll let you listen to him push the absolute limits of this BMW E92 M3 up the hill in a few moments time. This is the first of the competition runners. As we say, they're just there for bragging rights here today, trying to finish fourth for the day. That was the goal that Tanya told me early this morning when I spoke to her. They're going for fourth for both of the remaining 2 days, but they're about to blast up this short, sharp stage, Wairoa, in their M3. And it looks like Oscar Matthews will be just behind them, currently third in this event. And the cars continue to line up on this stage, but we are going to see them be let loose in just a few moments' time. It will be worth the wait of that, I can assure you. Looks like Nick has got Andre Lukas, who's ready for a chat.
Nick, I'm down here with hard charger Andre Lukas. Never say die. I reckon he's been making pretty good progress right through the event. Andre, tell us how it's going.
Yeah, no, it's 3 years of progress with this car, but we're having a really great weekend. It's the best weekend Chris and I have had together, so the car's going well. I think we're 6 outright in our class, so yeah, we're having a good time. I think we should be.
6 against some really, really hot competition. Those two front cars are setting some outrageous times.
Oh, you should see them launch off the line when we're sitting there. They're unbelievable. They sound fantastic. Young Oscar Matthews there is absolutely keeping them honest. I mean, he's doing a great job, and it's just great fun.
Oscar's quick on any day, but it's fair to say I think he's punching above his weight this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. Technology's beating him. I think not the drivers, I think technology, because Oscar, I think, could match it with most of them.
We all know what it's like to have technology beat us, Andre. Mate, thank you so much for your time. Have a good run, and good luck on Windy Point. I know you'll smash it.
Thank you.
Back to you, Dan.
Thanks very much, Nick, and thanks to Andre as well. He's always up for a chat, and great insights there. A really candid chat with him, and I agree he's doing really, really well this year, and he is indeed sitting 6th outright. You'd almost say best of the rest behind some of those front runners. Nick, you're down there with a former winner of this event.
I'm working hard, mate. I'm down here with Richard Lovell, who, as we've been talking about for the last 2 days, former winner of this event, and in amongst some pretty tough competition this weekend. Richard, how have you found the hard charges going around you this weekend?
Yeah, the competition's been really tough. We've got some great drivers over from Perth and some great local talent here as well that are sort of pushing me behind a little bit. We've had to make a number of changes to the car due to restrictions and things this year, so I've been struggling a little bit with power issues and had a few issues with tyre blowouts and things like that, but so far so good. We're here, we're having fun, and it's been a great event. So
it's good to see you up where you are, and we've certainly enjoyed seeing the car out there, and also great to hear that you've been grappling with the new regulations, but you've forged ahead and now you're back where you want to be. Good luck for this afternoon. Windy Point's coming up. What are your thoughts about that?
That's my home road, so I lived up there as a child, so I can't wait to race it.
Mate, if we didn't live there as a child, we went there as a child just so we could drive that road. What struck me when I did that stage a few years back was the spectators lining the course all the way through. Doesn't it feel great for a driver when you see that?
It makes you feel like a rock star. It really does. On a home road, there's nothing better. It's a great feeling.
Yep. Well, good luck, rock stars. Enjoy the rest of the day, and especially Windy Point. Cheers, guys. Thanks, Dan. Back to you.
Cheers, Nick. Yeah, Windy Point, a real favourite of many of the drivers, and it concludes proceedings here today. And cars continuing to line up, all of the competition cars at the start of the stage. And here we are. I'll let you listen and watch this one head up the hill. Wow, what a committed run from Cameron Wearing. He got quite a bit of air over the rise as well. And here comes Oscar Matthews, currently third, only 8 seconds away from the Hyundai of Peter Rouleau. Oh, that's a lot of air. That was certainly 4 wheels in the air there as it pops down into the long right-hander. Let's listen to how committed he is through here. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Here comes Andre Lukash, as he says in position number 6. Very happy as well. Bit of a different sound to what we've heard so far. Through the bollards, no problem there. Bit of a double dab of the brakes, holding in a real tight line there through the right-hander. He's going to try and straighten this one up and get on the brakes, and that's exactly what he's done. Lovely racing lines there from Lukash. Can the 2022 winner of the event do? Oh, listen to it, the rev spike up there as he went over the rise. A wider line on approach there from Lovell, and then a sort of double apex as he clips the left-hander and down towards stage end. Up next we have the 704 machine, former winner of this event. It's John Ireland. Oh, he's absolutely mullered the bollard there. There'll probably be incurring time penalty of 5 seconds for that one. That was a big hit of the cone there. That's the biggest smash we've seen. Fortunately, as they're just plastic bollards, there's going to be no damage done. Hit. Oh, big wheel spin. It cranked sideways there off the line. Did the 710 Sprinter. I'll let you listen to this. The sights, the sounds, it's a real feast for the body, the emotions. As he heads into the other second chicane, here's Tom Dermody, leading the Heritage class. Bollard there now, so he took that fully committed.
He's holding your start time until we finish. Thanks, fellas.
Through he goes, down towards the finish of the stage. Nick, you're down there once again.
Dan, I'm down here with Alex Rouleau, who at the end of yesterday was our rally leader. He has absolutely done some scorching times through this weekend. Alex, tell us about how you're enjoying the tarmac roads of Adelaide.
Yeah, they're bloody awesome roads. It's our first proper rally in this car on tarmac. We normally do gravel in it, so yeah, been really good. Car's been on rails all weekend, so yeah, we'll just try to bring it home now.
Alex, I watched you a couple of weeks ago on the gravel in Adelaide, and it's good to have you back twice in a month. But of all the stages you've done, what would be your favourite so far?
I don't know all the stage names, but yeah, there's certainly like probably 3 or 4 that have really stood out to me. We did one earlier today that I really liked, and yeah, we're throwing the car around, got it a little bit light over a crest, so yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Mate, we have loved watching it, and we hope that you have a good run for the rest of the day. Windy Point is, I hope you enjoy that one this afternoon, but we're not going to keep you anymore. Good luck. Thanks, Dan.
No, thank you, Nick, and thank you to Alex Rullo for taking time before he blasts up this stage. Here we go, the event leader. I'll let you listen to this. He is about to blast up the Wairoa stage towards Stirling. Rising. Committed run from Alex Rullo up there. You can see why he's currently leading this event. Foreshore through those quick chicane through the bollards, and now comes Zach Hedge. Just straight lines it. Oh, that's very funny. There's no attempt to even take the chicane there from Zach Hedge. Alongside him, veteran co-driver Bernie Webb. But how cool was it to have Alex Rullo blasting up the stage? He's absolutely loving his time, saying he's enjoying many of our stages that he's never competed on before. As we turn our attention to something completely different, in the words of Monty Python. How's this first chicane going to be taken? Are we going to straight line it again? Yes, we are. There's not really a chicane there anymore, is there? As Michael Lowe heads up, alongside him is Kerry. But these guys have been plucking away at it. They're in the heritage class and doing a good job this weekend. They're picking up positions if people fall by the wayside, but to be honest, they're not too far away from the likes of the Sprinters and a couple of other cars as well. Here's Peter Rullo lined up on the stage and ready to go. Interesting that these Hyundais, of course, are left-hand drive, built for the world of rallying. They compete in Europe and all around as well, so left-hand drive machines. Revs are about to rise. I'll go try it again for Peter Rullo. He's currently second in the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. Enjoy this one. Absolutely awesome job there by Peter Rullo. That looked as quick, if not faster, than his son through there. That was a real nice run from him. And that was the final of the competition class runners from that stage. Really great to see. Good field of competition class cars. Those Hyundais are something quite special, aren't they? They really are. They fly up the hill. Up the hills, down the hills, they are fast everywhere. Fast corners, slow corners, they just have no weakness. It's interesting that Alex said how well this car is on the tarmac. It's really taken to it like a duck to water. Are we going to straight line it again? Yes, we are. It seems to be the new line through the chicane, and it means they are hitting the Aqaba rise with a bit more speed. But I think the biggest air was got by, I think it might have been Oscar Matthews. As we see the course car head up the hill. Up next we have the challenge class. You down there, Nick?
I am down here, Dan, and I just wanted, did you notice as Alex Rullo went through a bit of damage on the left-hand rear of the car?
No, so he's just clipped something as he grazed something?
I think he might have just been at one with the scenery, just a touch, just enough to sort of give the tail light a bit of a hurry up, and probably, you know, wouldn't even be dented, but just it'll probably buff out and it might need a tail light by the end of today.
I think that's quite all right. He's driven however many stages, 19 to this point, and won all 19 of them, so I'm sure that is all right. I'm sure his team will forgive him for that. We've got the challenge class up next, Nick. These cars limited to 130 k's an hour.
They are, and it's Spry and Spry, Tony Spry on the start line now. I think they've got a little bit of time before they head off. Dylan's just caught me with a can of Coke in my hand. Thanks very much, mate. You're a champion. You boys really know how to do it, don't you? No, it's a class that is equally hard fought, even though it's speed limited just a little bit low. And as we were talking to spectators earlier, it's just another one of those tiers that you can take another step up to get closer to challenge or competition. But these guys they'll have a great time.
So Man and Men currently lead challenge by 57 seconds ahead of Spry and Spry. This is the current order. Andrews has moved up into position number 3, so that's a recent development in the last few stages. They were in 4th position at the start of the day, so they've moved up ahead of Wheeler and Partridge, who I'm looking through the timing. And I don't believe I can see Wheeler and Partridge anymore, so it looks like they have come to a stop at some point today. So the Andrews Ford Focus RS moves up to position number 3, and then it's the Payne competition in position 4. Beyond that, the Dodson Citroen C4. But it's interesting there that we have lost one of the front runners from this event today in the last couple of stages. Nick, you're down there with the man I was just talking about, who's now taken 3rd position.
I'm down here with Daniel Andrews. We've been watching this car all weekend, one because we love the tribute livery on it, but also because we've been watching Dan having a red hot go. So Dan, tell us how you've enjoyed the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's been good, mate. Day one was a bit of a learning curve for myself and a new navigator. We started this morning with a suspension problem on the rear end, but we fixed that before the first stage, which was good. And we've been out and we've been having a blast.
That's terrific, and the car hasn't got a scratch on it, hasn't got a mark on it, so that's always a good sign. Windy Point's coming up, Dan. What are your thoughts on that?
Windy Point's probably one of my favourite courses. It's a good spectator stage. Get everyone out there. Hopefully we can put a show on for them, and then see everyone down at the Good Street party at the end.
Yep, okay. Well, we're with you all the way. Good luck, fellas, and have a great run down Windy Point. See you at the street party.
No worries, thank you.
Back to you, Dan.
Yeah, it's a great Chem Block tribute livery, that one, isn't it? It's even got the number 43 on the side, of course. We lost the late Chem Block, a keen rally driver, but most famously known for his Gymkhana antics, those famous videos where he'd do ludicrous things with his Ford Focus. Was one of his cars. He also had a Subaru Impreza as well, but yes, he's moved up to 3rd position in the challenge category after stepping up from Spirit Tour last year, and you too can do the same. If you're in Spirit this year, you can be on the grid in the 2025 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. As we look at the Tony and Lynette Spry Subaru, this is their 4th time in the challenge competition. They were 3rd last year. As I say, they currently sit in position number 2. Through the look at the air over the Aqaba rise and through the long right-hander, but there was the chicane straight lining it once again. Nice line through the left-hander and towards the end of this stage. That's a really solid run. Let's listen to Andrews off the line. Lifts off there. He definitely lifted off. You could hear the popping and the spluttering from the gearbox going down the revs. He certainly lifted off over the rise there. So he's probably lost a little bit of time, but you can see how low the Focus is. He really has no other option to do that. It's interesting, they're limited to 130 k's an hour challenge, But as I say, these roads, tight, twisty in nature, you very rarely get anywhere near 130, and on this stage they don't. And we have seen in the past challenge guys matching the times of those in competition on this particular stage for that reason. And you can see why as we blast up the hill. That's a real fast, real smooth run. Robbie Brocklebank is next. He had a hairy moment here. Oh, look at that. Those tyres are absolutely ruined as he heads up towards the chicane. He had a very hairy moment down at the long right-hander where he is headed right now. Last year, how's he going to take it this year? Probably with a little bit more. No, he didn't lift off at all, actually. Just as committed as he was last year in competition, this year in challenge, and doing a pretty good job as well. But those tyres will need changing overnight. Next up, Rowan Payne. He lifts off as well over the brow of the hill. A real low, deep, throaty sound. I tell you what, I'm 500 metres away from the start line, but I can smell the tyre smoke that Robbie Brocklebank when he let rip off the start line. Have we got? Yes, we do. Nearly went into a stall there. Bit too much, bit too fast out with the clutch from Fetcher. So nevertheless, he's back onto the stage and roaring up there. A couple of dabs of the brake. I'll let you listen to it through here. I can't get over the smell of Robbie Brocklebank's tyres. It's so poignant around the hills of Adelaide right now as the Mini Cooper goes through. With Greg Swiggs at the wheel. He's in a close fight at the moment with a number of competitors. The smaller capacity engined cars. Corey Fetcher actually is one of those. Here is John Connolly and Michael McMichael. Finished 13th in challenge last year. They're already looking a little bit stronger than that in 2024. As they head up the hill around the long right-hander. They come back year after year after year, and they are thoroughly enjoying themselves in the challenge class this year. They're in one of the tours last year, but back in challenge this year, which is great to see. Mark Lyle of England and Lyle of Scotland, Watson behind the wheel from England. As he flicks it through. Ian Watson, nearly called him John Watson, not the Northern Irish Formula One driver of years gone by. It's Ian Watson behind the wheel. The Englishman doing a great job. He drove this little Polo in competition last year and finished 8th outright, and he's even higher than that in challenge at the moment, doing an amazing job. Really punching the way. One of my favourite, Dodson behind the wheel of the Citroen C4. Made famous by Sebastian Loeb, but he's now moved the next bollard. The one's been completely destroyed, and now even the second one's getting a little bit of a nudge from the French car. The Citroen C4, of course, Citroen took 9 straight WRC titles from 2004 through to 2013. The year after Peter Solberg won the last title for Subaru. Thumbs up from the officials. They're having a great time themselves. I think it's Darren Field behind the wheel of that Hyundai XL. We actually haven't got any XLs in the field this year. I find that remarkable. They're in everything in circuit racing, and even last year there's quite a few in the rally as well, but we are XL-less out there on the stages this year. Nick, that's quite a surprise that we got no Hyundai XLs in the field this year.
Well, if you talk about an entry level into motorsport, this car has done circuit racing, it's done gravel rallies, it's done tarmac rallies, it's done autocross, and it's been out to get the fish and chips and drive through the bottle department as well. So there's your entry level car, boys and girls. Darren Field drives it very well. Son Josh is driving another XL, equally, if not better than his dad, which is always dangerous. You should never drive better than your dad.
Well, Alex Rullo is at the moment, isn't he, in the competition category? So clearly the trend's being bucked this weekend, Nick.
That's right. He'll probably have to move out now and get his own place.
Probably true. Probably true. They both live over in WA still, have lived there their whole lives, and they've made the huge trip. We've talked about Queenslanders, New South Wales competitors, Victorians, but making the trip all the way from WA for this event, Nick, we're very thankful to have not one but two of the Rullos this weekend.
Yeah, it's great to have them here, Dan, and I tell you, they've had so much respect from the other drivers purely because of their times. Yes, we know that the cars are pointy-end cars, they're World Rally 2 cars, and they're probably a couple of 100 kilos lighter than Oscar's car. Oscar is doing an outstanding job doing the times that he's doing. But even guys like Andre Lukash, who, you know, don't hesitate to have a go, they're just in awe of the times that the machinery is doing. Very well driven by Alex and Peter, but fantastic cars, state of the art, and such a privilege for all the people in SA to see those cars at full noise being driven by experts on these great roads. I think it's wonderful for the event, wonderful for the state, Dan.
Yeah, very well said, Nick. Yeah, it's very lucky that the fans get to see that. As you point out, not everyone can go to every Australian Rally Championship event. It's a good advertisement for that championship, which is set to conclude in just a couple of weeks' time. The weekend after the Adelaide 500. It's set to conclude, I believe, so not too far away from the conclusion of the 2024 Australian Rally Championship. But now we move on to something very different. It's the TSD category. We're looking at Stephen Barker and Tamara Bryce, who've taken to this category like a duck to water, quite frankly. They sit second in the TSD class. Third. They've slipped down to third in recent stages, but nevertheless doing a really nice job out there on debut. 32 points away from the rally leader. To explain this, TSD, time, speed, distance. It's all about achieving the speed target, or the time target, I should say, set by the officials. If you're a second faster than that, you get a 5-point penalty, and a 5-point penalty for every second you are faster, and you get a 1-point penalty for every second you are slower. So it is better to be slower than faster, oddly enough, but it's a really popular category, and we always see some of the veterans return, but these guys didn't do it last year. I'm not sure if they did it in years gone by, but they have really taken to it nicely. Ray Modra next in his Ford Escort. He finished 5th in the event last year in TSD. This looks a bit more of a spirited run actually up the stage. Normally the average is about 70 kilometres an hour. That's what they say anyway. It varies ever so slightly, but this looks more than 70. This looks like a Spirit Tour level run up the hill. So there could be some penalty points coming the way of Modra as we see the Alfa Romeo head up the hill now. The GTV 507 machine of Damien Mills. Christine alongside of him. Great to have so many TSD competitors, as we say, from little hatchbacks to old Alphas, and there's even a Ferrari in the mix as well, which is great to see. Oh, that's some tyre smoke. Slalom down towards turn 1 and 2, or almost a straight line. It's interesting, the TSD guys are taking that chicane because they're trying to take it as they normally would, as they'd have calculated coming into the stage, unlike the normal competition categories that just ran straight through. But that's the RX-7 driven by Glenn Benham. Doing a nice job going up the hill, but our current leaders at the moment are the 511 entry of Chris Oldacre, and in second position is the 509 of Anthony Daly, and those two were the top two in the event last year as well, in that order. So the Hyundai drivers in second position of Anthony Daly and Cameron van den Heuvel. They're trying to close that margin down. It's down to 20 points. It's been pretty equal all day, actually. But unfortunately, a lot of time was lost in the morning yesterday as the cones get moved again, this time by Andrew Cox, behind the wheel of his Volkswagen Golf. It's around the long right-hander. This is the final tour, or final group I should say, of the event. We'll talk you through what is to come when this is finished, but here is the TSD leader at the moment. As we say, he is only 20 points ahead of the Hyundai in position number 2, but Chris Oldacre and David Greaves, they might not be the fastest, but you don't necessarily want to be the fastest in TSD, and that McGann is always driven to a beautiful target speed. You can see why it's silky smooth. There's no jerky throttle movements or jerky brake applications. It's all done very, very cleverly and all calculated ahead of time. Here comes William Kay and Kim McGuinness alongside in their 2007 Mini Cooper S. Big lift over the rise. In fact, a brake application. I saw the lights come on there over the brow of the hill. But haven't we seen some great competition here today, and they'll be there now down at Windy Point. There might be some people listening to the live stream, watching some of those tour cars coming through. Hope you're enjoying the action. These cars will be with you shortly. The competition categories, including this one, the Hyundai of Anthony Daly, as we say, second in TSD class at the moment. Doing a really, really nice job. Once again, smooth, consistent. But the damage was done early yesterday. It's been so level pegging ever since. Here's the Ferrari 360 I was referring to. Oh, sounds absolutely fantastic. I think they're sacrificing a few points here to put on a show for the fan, because that is certainly a committed run through there. That's fair enough. Oh, it sounds absolutely glorious, but this is by far and away the fastest TSD run we've had up the hill. He's going to be throwing away points, but we thank him for it in his 360, putting on a real show for us. Through goes the Subaru Impreza of Jackson Rippon, popping away around the long right-hander. Back through to the left, and that is the final runner in the TSD competition. This is the course car that concludes the stage, who had an incredibly hairy moment earlier today. Put it up the side of a bank and was almost at a 45-degree angle at one point in time as he was driving along the bank. The hairiest moment of any car so far today, and it happens to go to one of the course cars. But through goes the 999 numbered Peugeot 205 to conclude Saturday's live streamed action of the 2024 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. It's been an absolute privilege to bring this one to you once again. I'm Dan McCarthy. Nick, I'm not sure if you're down there and you want to say any final words, but thank you for your efforts in this one, mate.
Can you hear me?
We certainly can, mate. No, I was just saying thank you ever so much for your work in this one. It's been another great edition of the Wairoa stage.
It has been, and look, I think I got, because I was standing next to those cars as they launched with their various forms of technical wizardry, and some just turned it all off and turned on a show for the punters. So great stage, great day. Tomorrow will. Thanks for having me a part of it.
No, thank you very much, Nick. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Tonight, though, we have the Goocher Street Party in the centre of Adelaide. Cars are already rocking up there, and they will be there until dark tonight as well. So head down into the centre of Adelaide to see all the cars up close and personal. Tomorrow, the rally commences with the iconic Mount Lofty stage, but we'll be streaming from around about 10:30, just after anyway, with the 2 runs through the new Strathalbyn town stage, new last year, and it's back not once but twice. Thank you for joining us today on the Shannon's Adelaide Rally coverage. We look forward to having you again tomorrow.